Oh, yeah, get in our box. It's time. This is a big one. It's September 17th. It's a Wednesday. BC and Boogs are back inside the box here on the BCX. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about, from Canelo Crawford to Inoue MJ to Ricky Hatton to Adrian Broner versus Cameron. Wow, there's a lot of rivalries happening here. Rafe Boogs, this is the show of shows, the best boxing podcast, for the real ones. You know what I mean? Like, and our guy Monzo's like, wow, Rafe's tweeting Saturday was great. Rafe, how the hell are you coming off, I guess, the fight of the century, maybe?
Well, of course, Brian, before I say anything else, I have to give all the credit in the world and all of the just due honor to His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here today. All right, he's actually my father. He's my daddy, and I never met him, but I still love him because,
to quote Max Kellerman, if he wasn't born, none of us would be here. That was something. Wow. So much him or he, or so much
just not they.
A lot of cop on the timeline. Also, your boy from your alma mater, from your Fame High School, NYC, Max Kellerman was, what was he this week? I mean, seriously. I mean, he was back in like 60% of that was awesome. It felt like old times. It was super cool. But what about that other 40%, Rafa? What the hell happened? Did they hit him with the James Kirkland, Carlos Molina blue pill with the black hat, or what?
It was a black pill. All right. Someone fed him black pills and it got, no, listen. There are different elements of the Max Kellerman criticisms to dissect. And I don't know if you want to jump straight into that.
Probably
discussion.
Not straight into it.
But I think some of it, you got to recognize who you're working for. Brian, when you are part of HE's team someday,
yeah. Well, it's been hard for me to join that team of late.
Well, look, but you'll come around, I'm sure, and they'll come around back to you because you are excellent and you have the BCX.
Thank you. Yeah, well, this is the premier podcast.
But when you're on the HE role, then I kind of imagine you might have to make a few concessions to just talking up how excellent His Excellency happens to be. And it will be painful for us who know and love you, but we'll get through it. Some of that is just part of the game. Okay. Oh, don't say Danny's no. Night. Never say no. Never say no.
I will not be holding hands. This is Danny's night. And once a man swallows, Rafe. All right, you know what I'm saying. You do know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, he's never back. But I look. I think most of us here in the BCX community. We're rooting for you, man. If you need to bottle it, man. Go get that, bottle it and get the bag, man. It's okay.
The other bottle, the one that I made.
Yeah. Right so you can buy more bottles.
Shout out to Galachi. Shout out to Angel Garcia. Okay, real early, right? That morning bird call. By the way, did you hear that DSG, the swag champ, is going to have a going away party final fight at Barclays?
I did hear that. That was a while. I thought I heard that a while ago.
But no, it's like October 18th. I believe I'm calling that fight.
So. Oh, nice. Well, it's on the books. Who's the opponent?
Damn if I remember the guy.
Can I suggest a throwback for him?
Salka?
No. Well, that would be good too. I was thinking a trilogy, maybe. Eric Morales. Why not? One more time. Send him to hell one last time, Danny.
I mean, that's just not fair. That is my
elder abuse.
Okay, maybe we should put something on your balls. Or
come on, let me put some water on your balls.
Exactly. Also, speaking of those balls, who hit us up on here with that? It was this fella right here. Maybe.
Oh yeah, they were putting water on some. Did Crawford get some water on his balls?
Eddie in the Sky says the most washed pair since Morales put some of that water from the H2O on his balls. All right, enough of that absolute ridiculousness. Hey, a lot of people are wondering, will Canada's own Brody Moret show up today and eat that humble pie after he declared Big Red Canelo would, I predicted Canelo would win 8-4. So Terence Crawford making a lot of us eat that pie. But are you interested in literally watching this Canadian take back his words?
Who is Canadian Brody Moret?
Yeah, Brody Moret. He knows I ain't selling
Who is
out,
that
okay?
though? But who is? Oh, our Brody Moret.
Yeah, our guy.
For whatever reason, you're talking. I was like, oh, he's talking about some skinhead who put his foot in his mouth. No, it's one of our peoples. Listen, that wasn't a crazy call. Now, both because of my historical proclivities towards wanting to see Canelo lose fights, and also having a real belief in Terence Crawford's abilities, I saw it differently. But it's silly to think, and it was such a competitive and great fight. Fuck, man, nobody needs to eat their words over that fight unless you said something completely insane. Unless you were out here being like, Canelo is going to walk through him. He's going to cut through him like a hot knife through butter. He's going to eat his 8 children. He's going to make it look easy and solidify his reputation as the greatest fighter of all time. If that was your take, then yeah, maybe you got to eat some
Brody. Brody says, accept the defeat, BC, but we need to address the elephant in the room. Victor Conte got Bud on that Lance Armstrong pack. I mean, if you're fighting in the fight of the century at the elite level and you're not calling Mr. Memo, Mr. Conti, Mr. Fortune, Mr.
Grill Master Chepo, man. He got the beef.
It's Uncle Chepo's beef. Yeah, then what are we doing right here? Okay, what are we doing? Great stuff from everybody. I'm excited to break all this down today. Hank Williams IV would let us know that Danny Garcia is taking on NYC club guy Danny Gonzalez. So it will be Danny's night.
Did Danny Gonzalez participate in the semi-legal sparring exhibition organized by HE at the Brooklyn Armory, where it was just sparring, but people were also getting sent to the hospital. We don't know if everyone left the gym alive. It was, but it was a great event. Thank you again. I wouldn't be here if not for you, HE.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't selling out yet. No, I'm not selling out. I ain't doing it. Okay. But also from Hank Williams, BCR main man, Rafe, say what up to your brothers, Rancis and Ledwan Bartholomew for him. Okay.
My peoples.
There you go. Rafe, before we really dissect the inside of this box with all these other men watching, which is really very interesting, how is your life? I care about your life. I care about your peoples. I care about suburban Auburn Hills, Michigan.
Well, it's fantastic. I don't know, we're getting great weather out here, chilling, enjoyed the fights on Saturday. I don't know, man, but nothing changes. It's always the same game.
Okay. Where did you, and how did you, and with who did you watch Crawford Canelo at 1:30 a.m. East Coast time on Saturday?
Yeah, that was difficult. That part wasn't pleasant. But no, I watched it here at home on real Netflix. My stream was intact for most of the night. I did take a break. I quit I quit for Callum Walsh and Fernando Vargas's kid. I just didn't. I'm like, I don't care. I may not even come back. But you know what?
Yeah,
I did. I came back. I rallied. I made it back in time for the opening bell of Crawford and Canelo. And boy, am I happy I did. It was worth swallowing my pride, because I was ready to. I was checking. I was like, fuck them for putting me through this terrible motherfucking night. I don't care. That there were two good fights along the way. This sucks. It's taking forever. I want to go to bed. I didn't sign up for this. I wouldn't pay. I'm glad I wouldn't do this I wouldn't subject myself to this for no money. You need to pay me to sit through this shit. That was how I felt when I went to bed. And then I woke up an hour later, got to see the fight that I wanted to see and been waiting, months to see, years really. I mean, because I was one of the dumbasses willing, as soon as I saw what Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence, say, fuck it, go after Canelo. And I, so give it that 2-year span. I got to see it. It came to life. It actually, it happened this time, even without Jim Lampley to tell me. And it was, to me, I think that's magic.
It was magic. Wow, you said a lot in there. You did bring up swallowing, which I was a little surprised. You did hit hard like you normally do.
And I hit him hard, really hard.
And I hit the Filipino man, the tiny one. Yes, there you go. So much to break down here. ultimately. I didn't cross paths with HE. Oh, I mean, I felt his wrath at one point this week, but I didn't cross paths with him at all. So I wasn't able to tell you much about him personally, but great guy, right?
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
He did it. They say he had some people murder him. It's not the same, Brian. Come on.
Yeah. It isn't the same at all. I've lost track of how to work this thing. Sorry, I'm figuring it out.
Take us behind the scenes of a boxing podcaster during fight week. Chuck Jampa style, real eloquently.
Tell us what it was like in
Vegas. Come on, man.
As a fight, but we'll do it again. All right.
I'll be out. Thank you, Chuck. We'll be right back. Oh shoot, I was just favoriting these anal videos.
There it is. Wow, everyone else did that. Oh my god, I forgot about that. I know what I wanted to say. When you, after watching Spence Crawford, were like, "Damn it, F it, go beat up Canelo." Did you see Cliff Rolled was like, "F it, Crawford Bivol," and I'm like, "Yo, Cliff, I love you. I respect your game. Okay. You know this game. All right. You people got to listen to you. But what are we doing with that? I mean, I don't even want him to fight Benavidez. You know what I'm saying?
To me, it sounds crazy, but well, obviously we can talk about this more later, but it is hard to figure out if you win the biggest fight of your life and you look incredible doing it, even in your late 30s, you're Bud Crawford. I'm doing the Hubie Bryant. You're Bud Crawford. You're in your late 30s. You win the greatest fight of your life. You are on top of the boxing world. But where do you go from there? It's kind of because he's not in. Even as great as he looked at 168 pounds, perfect physique at the weight. Dealt with whatever Canelo managed to land on him throughout the fight, which was not insignificant. And still, it's like, this is not natural for him. This is not his natural weight. This is not. So it's crazy. It's interesting. Going down doesn't make sense. Fighting Bivol kind of sounds crazy too. It's fun to talk it out though, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
I appreciate that. Let me answer your question from before. I'm just trying to star all these great questions that I'm going to get to from the people shortly. All right. I'll say this about this week because there's a lot of like weirdness involved. There's a lot of newness involved. This was my first Netflix super fight. I got to say, shout out to the Fountain Blue, which was the host hotel that, it's been open for a couple of years at the top of the strip there.
How far, when you say top of the strip, like I'm not used to staying on that side. I'm a budget shopper, man. I'm like fights at MGM, cool. I'll be at Excalibur.
Well, that's disgusting. First of all, I'm like,
look, you got a problem with a little bit of smoke in your carpets, man? What kind of? How did you? Where are you from? Aren't you from from Factory Town, Connecticut? What the fuck happened?
I will say that normally I stay in the MGM or the Signature or New York or Park MGM because I want to be close to the arena. If I have a choice, I'll stay in Vdara, which is the nicest and most non-strip hotel. This one's like past Trump, past Circus, past the Wynn. It's almost all the way down at like the damn Strat. It's next to Westgate where Barry Manilow still plays. But I will say, like, it is gorgeous. It is top shelf. They even gave maybe I don't know if I could say that.
Can you do that? So my classic, this is when I go into my shout out to my wonderful old boss Bill Simmons, who always talk about his Vegas exploits.
Hey, Bill Simmons just broke news yesterday, by the way.
I didn't. What was it?
He tried to announce on his pod that there's going to be a rematch between Canelo and Bud, and nobody else is saying that.
Hey, well,
maybe he had Uncle Nick on line one,
Uncle Nick. If Uncle Nick's, that's a good source. If Uncle Nick's saying it's going to happen, I wouldn't bet against it. Yes. But Uncle Nick has made a lot more questionable things happen in the world of sports and sports media over the years. But
one of those things cop or no.
Much not that bad. Not that bad. That's an act of God. But no. But Simmons, anyway, I used to love being down at those, bottom strip hotels, and you could just walk up and down, go to, just get hammered going from casino to casino to casino.
Luxor to Excalibur, right?
Yeah, all the way, all the way up to Cosmo. Maybe go up. What was that one with the terrible little big Ferris wheel up near the Paris? That's usually about as high as I would get. Then walk back down, stumble back down if I could. In any case, can you do that up there at the Fontainebleau?
No, it's not connected to anything. You're kind of on an island in a sense, but it's so beautiful. And I was there under like Netflix for the Radio Row thing. So like you got $75 a day per diem. So it was actually kind of cool. And turns out you needed it because it cost about $86. It cost at least $40 to get 2 coffees and a bagel. But let me say this, all right? Shout out to UFC PR, Netflix PR. They tried really hard with this 2-day Radio Row. They had big names. Like, that was all great. It did not, maybe it was because we were on the other end of the strip. It did not feel like a fight week for a lot of the fight week. It certainly didn't feel massive. There seemed to be some weirdness going on. So, a war of some kind between Turkey and UFC. I think some of that seemed to spill over at the press conference at, some of the rumors you hear. Maybe if you looked at Dana's face on fight night, he looked really unhappy. But I'll say this. Once that weigh-in happened, and maybe it's the late arriving Canelo Mexican crowd, and, if you've been to Vegas for a super fight, if there's a big-time Mexican in the main event, it's got that extra party feel. When they showed up on Friday, that weigh-in in T-Mobile, which was filled to the, every seat filled, was explosive, was intoxicating, was amazing. That carried into fight night, and even though that was a 12-hour workday at least for all of us, and that card was long as balls, and we can get into the why, how, and why it shouldn't have happened. When the main event happened, or maybe more importantly, because I'm a adrenaline junkie when it comes to my boxing fandom. They say the last 10 minutes before the bell rings to kick off a main event boxing match is the most exciting in all of sports. And you've been inside the MGM Grand for Maypac, so many of these where it's just like that last 10 minutes, you're shaking, you're jumbling, your feel holes are vibrating. I got to say, dude, inside Allegiant with 70,000 strong, they got, when Canelo was walking out, they got the Mexican flag colors sprayed across the crowd. When Bud comes out, it's the U.S. flag. Did I need a 47-minute gap between co-main and main event, and then a extended drum solo by half of Tool, and then 2 mariachi jam bands going to war against each other? No, I didn't need any of that. But the electricity was through the roof, not just during the entire main event. Dude, it was fantastic. It was freaking fantastic. And to be there for a historic performance like this. I didn't get to go to Spence Crawford. I had to stay home because my wife was traveling. But I heard, I always hear Luke Thomas say I had tears coming down my eyes watching Bud. The hell's that noise? You hear that?
Yeah, I got a train outside, man.
Oh, all right, great. Meet Virginia. I can't wait too. All right. All I got to say is, dude, I pinched myself. It was a pinch myself moment watching Bud do this. So all in all was well in the box this week, but it was a rocky, rough ride. There's a lot of BS along the way, but I think you could tell that. Couldn't you tell that? From the
you could probably, yeah, I could tell a little bit. Luckily for good old me, I stand by. I'm walking the talk here. All right. When I say I don't care about anything except the fights, I really actually don't care that much. So other than hearing some bubbling of, this is going on, and so was unhappy, I don't care. I'm like, cool. Is the fight still happening on Saturday? All right, I'll be there. Like that's that. And look, again. I don't regret a second of it. Even the parts of the broadcast that I didn't like, which was most of it up until the main event. The fucking main event made it all worthwhile. It was a historical fight. It was a incredible performance. I thought, and again, we'll get into this more later. Thought Canelo fought incredibly well as well. Like put in an outstanding effort, and just it was, it was, so just the broad, sort of very general take about this. After watching what I think I watched everything from Boachuk Adams on, and thankfully it sounds like I dodged a real bullet in Jermaine Franklin and
Oh
Ivan.
my God, dude, the
Ditko,
crowd was
Ditko.
booing. There was like
There was a crowd.
There was like 236 people in a giant dome, and they were all booing. You could hear all the catcalls.
But the watching Canelo and Crawford fight after everyone who came before them, it's like, I mean, it was like they were, it was, you know, it was almost like a different sport, man. It was like it was on such a different level. The athleticism, the strategy, the technique, everything that they brought, I was loving it. I didn't sit down for a second, throughout the fight, pacing back and forth in front of the TV. My dad was sitting on the couch next to me.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Big G's out
up
here.
That late?
Yeah, Big G. Oh, Big G doesn't miss a free fight.
Big G's like 80 years old, right?
He is literally 80 years old. He don't care. He want to see it too.
Okay.
It was all yeah. So it was, but that's the thing. What they were doing just felt like a completely, almost a different sport from what preceded it. And that's not. I don't mean to denigrate the fighters who came before, but that's what it's like when you get the rare opportunity to see all-time greats going for it against each other,
exactly,
with real stakes and both meeting the moment in various ways throughout a 12-round fight.
Yeah, I'm so sick of a few things in terms of reactions. And these aren't the typical casual reactions when there's a super fight that get you pissed off. I'm sick of everybody dunking on Canelo and being like, crazy. Oh, see, told you he was old. He never fought anybody. He was never really pound for pound great. He was just the money man. Like, shut the F up, dude. Canelo came to fight and he was completely, they were like, he was resigned to losing. Yeah, because he could not figure that MFer out. Number two, all the people
resigned. He tried several times to mount little rallies. Like he was not like he tried a lot of different things. They didn't work. But it's not like he's like, oh, this was not Robert Guerrero against Floyd, just being like, after 2 rounds, time to pack it in.
And then Ruben's like, he ran. It's like, all right, Rube, all right. Number two, all the skinhead fans that watched an absolutely explosive and batshit crazy UFC Noche main event, that ended just before the main card on Netflix, are like, see, MMA greater than boxing, that boring ass shit between Bud and Canelo. I'm just like, yo, if that's your response, then please don't ever come back inside the box. We don't want you inside the box, because that was historic brilliance. In fact, at the post-fight presser, I stopped every single journalist that we like and was just like, yo, we saw greatness tonight. Like, we freaking saw history tonight. This wasn't like, after Floyd Maidana or Floyd versus whatever, we were like, damn, Floyd's still the man, but see you at the next one. This was like, no, holy shit, what we just saw. I mean, it's no wonder why the news cycle in boxing in the last 48 hours has been like, is Bud greater than Floyd? I mean, this is the type of performance where you should be saying shit like that. So, yeah, we got a lot to get into. First and foremost, let me ask you this. I was really excited about the trio calling this fight. John Anik, Andre Ward, Max Kellerman. How did it work out for you ultimately overall? How would you sort of critique or rate the talking heads in this one?
Sure. So John Anik, voice and face I recognize, just even as a complete neophyte in when it comes to MMA and UFC. I've seen enough to know his voice, be familiar with him, and he still was very good. He solid, just did his job really well. Yep. Like exactly like all the UFC fans and MMA fans who I trust you to know a little something about. You guys said that that he was going to be solid. He was good. Like I'd love to have him back anytime. Andre Ward, I think he's a really, really strong fight analyst. In the moment, his points are really good. I think that he's great for casual fans because he breaks stuff down very well. And is able to inject insight and is really clear in the way he speaks. It's all he's really polished and professional and great. He's still, for me, and I think a handful of people who have been like rolling our eyes at some of his self-serving narrative building over the course of his career, well before he retired. And just that he can say two things on the undercard that just like pissed me off for the rest of the night. But that's my fault, not Andre Ward's fault. And specifically in these cases, it was like I think it was during the just very regrettable 10-round main card opener with whatever, Saudi Joe Blow versus
Dude, seriously,
no relation to Terence Crawford.
The balls on Turkey to put a 5-0 with one knockout, 21-year-old 4-rounder prospect in a 10-round fight against a late changing opponent who's quitting boxing in 2 weeks to join the army is like the worst decision you could have ever made to try to entrap casuals that are going, damn, I can't turn on Netflix without hearing about this fight. Let me tune into it. Like, come on. That should have been Boachuk Adams too, which was a banger, bro.
Yes, yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. Look, even if you want to throw your boy a bone, right? You're paying for the whole card. like, I understand that, but just the thing, like making it a 10-rounder, that sort of screwed that was shooting himself that was shooting your own cause in the foot, because
you could tell Ward wanted to rip it, and Ward just kept saying, well, he doesn't have any power, but he's going to be a good fighter.
And it's a 4-round, like if it's a 4-round or a 6-rounder, cool, that's over pretty quick. But this was it became pretty clear that he wasn't going to be good enough to get Private Crawford out of there. And then we just knew we were going to sit through like 8 more rounds of this trash. And it was not, but during that fight in the middle rounds, Andre Ward starts talking about, in some of my fights earlier in my career, it's hard to remain focused like that. And you can make a mistake and get dropped in a second like that. I was like, come on, man. This was 20 years ago, that fight against Darnell Boone when Andre Ward got knocked down. Just give him some credit, man. Just say he caught me with a shot. I went on to beat him, and everyone else I faced in my career. You gotta be like, oh yeah, it was all me. He didn't do nothing good. But like fucking Darnell Boone, man, give him the ding-a-ling, man, some credit.
Seriously.
Stuff like that. And like the little, the times when that Andre Ward is, talking about himself and making some point that reflects well on his own boxing career, which is fine. But he's doing it. He's doing it while pretending he's not talking about himself. He just said, you're like, oh, I know exactly what fight you're referencing, and what like come on, man, give us some credit. We're not dumb. Those kind of things can drive me personally crazy. But that's overall, you got to give Ward a really high grade because he's excellent. He's always excellent.
Yeah, and he didn't linger too much. And I only know this because I was listening to the broadcast for the undercard and all of the main card except for the main event from press row. Now, just to be fair here, press row it was told to me that it would be on the floor, just be set back like we're starting to see now in most Vegas fights. They no longer let us sit in literally the 5th row, right? Media gets pushed back to where the floor seats start to rise. Well, the media seats for this one were the top row of the first level. So it was way back. Like I had to score round by round off the big screen. But look, still being there, still feeling the energy, that was all fine. Anik solid, Ward solid. And again, for the most part on Max, refreshing, throwback, reminds you of why you love the guy, even though he's been off of this job for 7 years. But did it click to you how
7 years? Is that true? He wasn't calling any fights in ESPN?
No, he was working their desk at like a few times as like an analyst or sometimes as a host, but I don't believe he called a single fight in the Top Rank era. But the whole point here is, outside of the good moments, I'm not necessarily going to dunk and trash him for what was largely an awkward set of post-fight interviews. That's a hard job. I mean, did I love when he's like, all right, GOAT, you're definitely the GOAT of this era, Terence Crawford. No, that was weird as shit. But I will say, outside of that, how many times should it be allowed to tell the audience after the week Max had during the live broadcast that Dana, Turkey, and Nick Khan are about to turn this into the NFL of boxing and they're about to save this sport? I mean, you literally needed Canelo to jump in during that press conference and be like, enough, Max, of this bullshit. Boxing's been big. It's still big. It's always going to be big. Stop glazing everybody. The fact that carried into the broadcast like 5-6 times, what is it? How do you explain it? What happened to Max this week? Please tell me. You know him. You're from the same area.
We are. I mean, like, you know, we did go to the same high school. He was well beyond us by the time I got there. But yeah, I didn't notice it that much during the actual fights. Like that, although I don't doubt that it happened. I think by then he'd said it so many times during fight week that I had almost just baked that into the cake of what I was going to get. I thought that he did a good enough job calling the actual fights on Saturday. The thing that I noticed, and I think that this is forgivable, is he seemed a little rusty. He seemed like, I mean, you said 7 years. I thought it had only been like 3 years, you know, since he had left ESPN or stopped being on their airwaves. And I thought that he came off to me like he was, you know, someone who can talk a mile a minute, has so much historical knowledge, yes. You know, a good grasp of tactical issues, the current lay of the land, like someone who has a shitload to say about boxing, like, you know, dickheads like me and you do, but doesn't spout off about it randomly for 2 hours a week like he used to do back in the day on my public access television.
Right before that sex show, right?
Well, yeah, Robin Bird, man. That's the thing. Yeah. You could catch Max on channel 34, go up to channel 35, hope that you get Robin Bird when she has the female strippers on and not the male.
Not the male.
Not the male. But anyway, so I thought that his calls of the actual fights were fine. There are a couple of moments where, you know, that rust where it seemed like he had this urge to say everything that he didn't get to say over the last several years and just, you know, flood the zone. And there were times it's like, all right, chill, just let it breathe a little bit, man. You're going to be back. You're Max. Like if you're back, you're back. I mean,
chill. Just to pause you, like Max is the reason I ever thought this job was possible. The Max from ESPN2 days with the leather jacket was the coolest guy of all time in boxing. The Max from the buttoned up HBO era was the closest thing we ever saw to Larry Merchant, but yet he was his own man. Max freaking rules, dude. That's what made it hurt this week. Seriously.
Yeah, and then I did during the post-fight interviews for the main event. That was rough because the wind up for the setups for those questions was so long, and it was especially funny when you're asking Terence Crawford questions because we saw the amount of emotion he went through after the fight, winning, you know, just dropping to his knees and doing that sort of high pitched like squeal he does when he's just so happy, right? Like it reminded me of the same noise he's making from a different, like, not a moment of triumph, but just when he's laughing at his friend on the slingshot at the carnival, the guy's just passing out. He's just like, woo! Anyway, but like Max, yes. Max would go back and forth. Max is asking Terence Crawford these questions where he's talking for like 30 seconds straight, being like, Terence, going back to the great war generals of ancient Rome. You know, we've always judged manhood by certain factors, and then there's a procession of great boxers and great athletes over the course of time. And he's goes through the history of man in 45 seconds. And it's like, so how do you feel right now, Terence? And he's like, and Bud is just like, yeah, we're just gonna see what comes next, and we're really happy to be here. And it's just sort of like, cool. All right, thanks. That was great. It was anyway. I mean, even
did you see Al Bernstein dunked on him on Twitter a few times too?
The rare like, Bernstein, the rare, like it's tough to get someone as classy as, you know, a polished Vegas lounge singer, Al Bernstein, and Hall of Fame, you know, boxing broadcaster, to criticize publicly like that, because he knows how hard the job is. I'm sure he's had bad nights too. But I agree, Brody, man. We do. Al Bernstein. It is to me a travesty that in all the shakeups, you know, that Bernstein somehow has not landed with a full, like a regular boxing gig.
Yeah,
as long as he's not taking food off of BC's plate, he needs to be in there.
I think he's on those Salida DAZN cards with Raul and Corey, but I think those guys get bounced for the really big ones. Then they bring in like Grisham and Mannix and all that. All right, that was the announcers. We can get into the undercard in a minute. Let's talk about the main course. Let's talk about the history that we saw. You predicted Bud could do this. It wasn't lost on me that it was possible. But dude, I gotta say this. From the moment we saw them take their shirts off, stand on the scale at the ceremonial weigh-in on Friday, and then square off, I stopped believing that there's a size difference here. And it really goes to the genius of how Bud, and sometimes the great ones just somehow aren't subject to ring rust and the inactivity of Bud fighting just once over the last 2 years, where Canelo's been consistent, fighting 4 times. But they have him and Bomac. I mean, Bomac's incrementally been putting on the weight for decades, but they incrementally, systematically worked themselves into a legit super middleweight body that had the speed, reflexes, and everything we would want. Dude had the freaking power. When he needed to outbox Canelo, he did. When he needed to stand and trade, he somehow got the better of him. He also took the best shots from Canelo. On a scale of 1 to the most brilliant thing you ever saw, what does the 12 rounds that Crawford gave you on Saturday, 3 divisions higher than what he did 2 years ago to Spence, 2 weeks shy of 38 years old? How do you even put into words what we freaking saw? I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, no, it's trying. This has to be one of. I hadn't tried really hard to rank it before now, but I'm struggling just to come up with a solid example of a performance that is as comprehensive and just magnificent as what like it is. It might be and there are some great ones that are underrated. Like, I mean, I always go back to not a popular fighter. It wasn't as nearly as it wasn't as nearly as inspiring a performance, and it created kind of a shitty fight at times. But Rigo shutting down Nonito Donaire in that fight at Radio City Music Hall was like maybe the best win of that decade. That's the thing when you get 2 actually great fighters and find out one is actually this much better than the other, or at least on this night is showing you putting real distance between himself and another elite all-time great level fighter. That was, there's that kind of special performance. And I give Bud credit. I think more credit for this because he's going, it's so he's going, it was a crazy amount of jumping up in weight to do. This wasn't one weight class. He hadn't looked great in the one fight at 154 pounds last year against Madrimov. And to see him, go, he was biting off as much as anyone could possibly chew. I mean, this was like Usyk level. The Usyk performances are Usyk and Fury. Though that first Usyk and Fury fight, where it's like this shit, nobody should be able to do this, and then this incredible fighter comes along and does it. That's the kind of once in. I mean, that it feels like those performances, Usyk against Fury, Bud against Canelo, they're the kind of performances that are so great they feel like they should be once in a lifetime. And it's kind of how lucky we are. We've seen a handful of those in almost every other year because of these special fighters.
It's seriously, we have. I scored it 8 rounds to 4 for Crawford. I had it close as we were entering the final third of the fight, but Bud really pulled away in such incredible ways that, I was waiting for Canelo to gas. I was waiting for us to say that even though he was younger, the mileage on him. No, he didn't gas. He literally ran out of ideas, ran out of options. Bud deciding to go southpaw from the jump made it a very difficult fight where he obviously took away Canelo's jab. Credit to Canelo for rallying in the middle rounds, getting off with the lead right, going to the body a lot, yet it never seemed to slow down or affect Bud. There was the other narrative I don't love is that people saying this was not a competitive fight, that the judges were on their way to rob, because I think 2 of the 3 judges maybe had it even. Yeah, because 2 judges scored it 7-5, so they had it even entering the championship rounds. I scored it 8-4. Mr. C pointing out that Teddy Atlas had it 10-2. I think Skipper Kelp, the broadcast former junior middleweight and broadcast unofficial judge, had it 9-3. I want to know your score. I want to know whether it's safe. Do you agree with me that this was a competitive and close-ish fight until it wasn't. 8-4 Bud on my scorecards.
So look, I wonder how you deal with this when you're scoring Canelo fights. They're really difficult for me to score at home in the moment, not because they're close or what, sometimes they're close, sometimes they're not, but it's so I don't think I'm actually capable of scoring it without having at least a part of my boxing brain thinking, okay, but what are the judges going to do? This is what I saw, but did Crawford win? Was it convincing enough for Crawford? Like, I think Crawford won that round, but was it so convincing that I think these judges are going to give him this round? Like, I'm fighting against the sort of the way that I'm expecting the actual judges to give Canelo a benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So in that sense, I'm not surprised that they're wound up being 2 7-5 scorecards in favor of Bud, and the other was 8-4. I'd had 8-4 in my heart of hearts. I thought it 9-3, but I was like, I can't do that. I know it. I was just, part of me is like, I know it's not going to be 9-3. So like, let's be honest here. Like, which weird. Like, let's be honest that these cards, like that my honest view of the fight isn't how the judges, who presumably are honest on some level, are going to score it.
I mean, AZ Ray is right. The first half was very close. It was. Yeah. It was a tactical back and forth. I've heard a lot of people say, like Nando, that the Netflix crew was fondling Bud all night, so maybe that played into it. The thing I want to say is, like, even if it wasn't, well, we know the judges are going to give Canelo the benefit of the doubt, I'm wondering if he deserved some of that benefit of the doubt in the rounds that he won, which it's just the fact that the rounds Canelo won were tighter. The rounds Bud won were sometimes wider. But Canelo did outland him in 6 of the 12 rounds. There was a couple rounds where he outlanded him a lot. And I think until Bud really sat down on his shots to fight off that Canelo mid-fight rally, I think that you can judge as a judge that Canelo was landing the bigger punches in the first half of the fight, right? He was going hard to the body. Like, I'm not mad at anybody that has it being super close, if not even at that point. But the brilliance for me was in round 6, as Canelo's coming on, that Bud stood in the middle, hit him with that insanely beautiful left cross after ducking the punch, and then hit like a 6-punch combination, almost like he was going for the kill right there. I think from then on, Bud realized I gotta be a puncher the rest of the way, and that changed it for me. But either way, like, can we give Canelo some respect? He fought, like, he didn't, people are like, oh, he didn't care that he lost. No, he had no answers. He was like, holy shit, I underestimated this guy.
Yeah. Take it from me, someone who has gone out of his way to create, internet jokes about heel Canelo. Canelo weight when he was, waiting out Gennady Golovkin at middleweight and finding all kinds of excuses to fight other guys at weights above and below 160 pounds. I am a veteran of all the Canelo wars and have usually gone on the side of, come on, this guy's bullshit. We should not let him. We should not give him the benefit of the doubt. Take it from me. I thought he fought. Yes, it was a competitive fight. Yes, I thought he looked impressive in there. He came up. He faced a great fighter who happens to be, I believe, and certainly demonstrated on Saturday night, even greater than Canelo. But the effort that he put forth, the way that there were, he not just that 5th round rally, he tried again, later maybe in the 8th or 9th round, like where he tried to come out and start fast. Yes. He was looking for opportunities to turn the tide in this fight. And it's to Bud Crawford's credit that whether Bud had to weather a storm, if Bud saw it coming and just sort of like, okay, I'm gonna block this and take the initiative back, in this fight right now, whether he got caught. This has to do with how successfully Bud added the weight and came up to 168 pounds and was able to, have credible power at a weight class 21 pounds above the last weight class he unified, and above and more impressively take those shots, right? Be like, Canelo did good body work in this fight. It was the kind of body work that we had seen slow down lesser fighters who had early fight success. Looked like they were outboxing him through the first 5 rounds of a fight. That body work was still there. He was landing those hooks. Single hooks, yes, but he was landing, and usually those take a toll. I'm sure Bud Crawford felt them. They took some toll, but he was conditioned, strong, whatever he needed, determined, however he got through it. It didn't phase him, and he was in control pretty much throughout the fight. It's so impressive, and Canelo fought extremely well. Again, look, Canelo has not been my favorite fighter throughout the course of his career. If you look at the body of work that he and the way and all of the great fighters he's fought, some of whom I agree that he beat, some of whom I don't think he beat. He was he was close in every single one of those fights except Floyd. And this is the only other, Bivol as well. I forget, Floyd and Bivol, and now Bud. Even Bivol and Bud, he made those fights competitive despite facing guys who I think ended up being better than him for various reasons. It's just he's great enough to be in the ring against any great and have a chance and be competitive. And he's given us a lot of those fights, man. Maybe seeing a guy get humbled like that makes you like them more, right? At least if you're coming from the point of view of being a little bit of hater like I was before. But man, I'm thankful for Canelo's whole career now, just that he built it up to that point and then was there to make this fight happen. It was an incredible moment.
It really was. It really was. I want to lightning round you through some facts and questions. First of all, we good friends. I love your daddy. What was your dad's general reaction to the fight?
He was surprised, just sort of wow, Crawford is fucking doing it. He's still doing it. It was the whole, and I don't think that this was wrong. This was one of the narratives that I think they did well calling the fight was maybe Max overplayed it a little bit when he was like, what happens when Canelo lands upstairs? What happened? What happens when the big one comes? But there was some truth to that. I wasn't surprised to see Terence Crawford appearing to outbox Canelo early in a fight. That's the thing he should if the fight started and Bud couldn't outbox Canelo early, it's going to be a long night in Omaha, right? Warren Buffett might not make it through the night. There was still some suspense about, okay, Canelo is going to try to mount some rallies. He's going to start digging in hooks to the body. He's going to land shots upstairs and down. I'm sure Terence Crawford did not enter the fight thinking, I'm going to win this fight by completely shutting out and never getting touched by this other great fighter who is more comfortable, or at least has spent more time at this weight than I have, and has beaten a host of world-class 168 pounders over the years, and then some bums in more recent, and then some lesser qualified opponents in recent years. It was so to see. And so my father, he was wow, he's really pulling it off. And that was the thing. And then after that, when Bud started the second half of the fight, when because Canelo was getting more aggressive and Bud was really, really starting to find his rhythm and be able to land combinations and move in and out, and at times kind of light Canelo up. And you saw it on his punches were moving Canelo. The combinations were landing 2-3 shots at a time. You started seeing it on Canelo's face. It was, Big G was just like the rest of us sitting there damn right. He fucking did it. This guy did it.
I love it. I love that you watched that with him. I really do. Brody pointed out a good thing, or not a good thing, but a poignant thing. Elie Seckbach had it at one point, he had 7-1 for Canelo. He scored it 10-2 overall. And while Dan Rafael was giving Crawford his flowers at the post-fight press conference by asking him, what's more impressive to you, Bud? Being undisputed in 3 weight classes, being the 6th man to be a 5-division champion. And by the way, those other 5 are Manny, Floyd, Oscar, Hearns, Leonard. It's ridiculous. Or being the lineal champion 4 other times. And then Elie yells, I thought Canelo won. Is this a long-term grudge that we don't know about? Because I F with Elie, but That's a rough take, man.
Look, Ellie's a very nice guy. Like he's been good to a lot of people in the boxing world. I don't look to him to score fights for me. Like maybe he needs to do some rescoring. I don't know how he got there. I did enjoy. I don't think people need to get that defensive about their scorecard. I mean, 10-2 Canelo is weird.
I guess they had a beef. Brody's bringing up that they had a beef or whatever. All right, enough of that. Next, go. If you don't like it, turn off your station. Let's hear from AZ Reyes. Appreciate you supporting this podcast. And this was going to be my follow-up question anyway. Arturo says, Crawford looked awesome to me. Looked like Crawford was studying Canelo for years. He was ready for everything. Set so many traps. Thoughts. I have bad eyes. That's the point I wanted to bring up. Him and Bomac said afterwards, like, if we're talking about they literally spent 2 years building his body for this fight. Remember, after the Madrimov fight, Bud said, I'm either fighting Canelo or I'm retiring. Dude,
Bomac got to spend some time on himself too, though. Like, a little bit of self-care, right? It's like time, man. I want this guy to be around for a little while.
Family-sized Cheetos are going to go out of stock at Walmart soon. Dude, this might be true. They fought once in the last 2 years. They spent a lot of those 24 months figuring Canelo out, while Canelo was just kind of coasting through Berlanga, Munguia, right? Like, that's kind of fair to say that, like, they did the work. Canelo may have underestimated him for sure, but dude, it has to be that this is a career-defining fight of his lifetime, and physically and mentally, he treated it that way, right? It's brilliant.
I think there's some truth to that. I think especially the defining fight of his lifetime, and Bud Crawford, a fighter who basically because of boxing politics in the last decade, winding up on the last side, on the wrong side of the street, so to speak, to get the huge fights he wanted for so long at 147 pounds until finally getting them at a time when they were easier for people to nitpick than they might have been if they had come earlier, right? After Spence's car crash, even though, I mean, and by the way, great interview with Sean Porter on Morning Combat on Friday. I loved it. Yeah. But like the way that,
it is a long way though from the lift.
I mean, look, at least we know but next time you get a one-on-one with Sean, or a two-on-one, or a threesome, or however you like,
three guys, no box.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Folks like to do it. Next time you get Mr. Porter in a room, I would also like you to get him to explain his that famous face-to-face line of his where he's like, you ain't, you not, he not, and he ain't, or whatever, like you won't, you ain't, I'm not, he ain't. Like, he has to break each of those down for us, because I have never gotten it, but at least we have something on the record for the lip to the cup. No, but when Bud Sean Porter, Porter looked really good, right? I mean, they maybe might have been up on maybe was up before he gets stopped, but still people could say, well, we've seen all these other fighters beat him already, so what does that really mean? So for Bud to finally get these opportunities at this point in his career, there is something to that narrative of, this meant so much. There's no way, even though I don't believe that Canelo took him lightly. I don't believe that he was not, he thought it would be a breeze and didn't prepare anything. He looked prepared to me. He looked like he wanted to win motivated. To me. Right. Yeah. So I don't believe that it was like that, but it's impossible for this fight to mean what it does to Crawford to Canelo, because Canelo has had, Canelo just has had so many enormous fights. There's nothing bigger than fighting Floyd. The Triple G rivalry was enormous in the way that it captured the boxing, like the boxing culture and boxing fans, and went on for years with the build up to it. Golovkin, you are next, my friend, to injection marks, to draw. That was a real rivalry that captured minds and created debate for years. It's just impossible for this fight to mean quite as much to Canelo as it would to Crawford. But I also think that, like, to say, oh, well, they were preparing, they had him scouted. Like, You really think that I'm sure fucking Josecito Lopez had Canelo scouted back in 2013, right? I mean, who didn't think they were?
Jaw.
Yeah, right. He was looking to break that jaw like he did VO. There is no. By the way, what talk about sliding doors? Sorry to go on this tangent, but what would have happened if VO doesn't get his jaw broken? He was winning that fight. I mean, it's a close fight, but I think he was up against Josecito before he found a way to not continue. I would never say the Q word, but VO had to retire on his stool there. If VO gets that Canelo fight in 2013, what comedy do we witness? Is it a great fight? Do we get no?
It's gonna look a lot like Canelo Baltimore, unfortunately. Dude, I hear that VO's not doing so great, and he posted like a meandering, like 20-minute breakdown of Canelo Crawford by just dunking on Oscar and telling old stories, and there was no point. It was really weird. I wish him well. I mean, we've had a lot of fun and laughs with VO, but a lot of these guys take hard falls, and I hope that's not the case for VO based on what I hear. Saul is somewhere in Louisville fixing gutters at the moment. We love him. Thank you for your support. Do you literally actually believe here, Rafe, that Canelo took Bud lightly?
Not at all. He looked prepared. He fought prepared. He looked, even though he's never not. I can't think of a time where Canelo missed weight ever. Certainly not in recent years.
No.
But he looked better at the weight, I thought, than he looked in at other fights at 168 pounds. I didn't hear any reporting or Twitter, wherever, other kind of rumors that Canelo wasn't working hard on this for this fight. Like, to me, he looked like he was ready to fight an opponent he knew was going to cause him some trouble. He probably couldn't have predicted how good Terence Crawford was going to be, because I didn't predict he was going. I mean, like, I was hopeful. I believed it was possible, but I'm not sitting here thinking, oh yeah, that went right according to plan, like so easy. No, I mean, like that. And Crawford had to do extraordinary things. Like, yes, he's so good, he can make it look easy. He can make it look like he's that much better than another great fighter to win on a lot of credible viewers' scorecards, 9-3, 10-2 over another all-time great. But come on, like the amount of concentration. That's actually, honestly, that's the thing. Because shout out to Barry Tompkins and Vincent Ortiz, a duo that they're both legends in their own way. No, how about we've seen against other opponents who Terence Crawford knows he can not let his guard down against, but can take some more risks against. We can see, we've seen moments against, say, Mean Machine or Kell Brook had some success against Crawford early where Brook looked good early. It's just he was at that point in his career, he was ready to go down with anything, right? I mean,
he was ready to go down on anything.
All right. My bad. Shout out to Tenerife. What goes down in Tenerife stays in Tenerife. All right.
Hey,
the blade goes through your leg in Tenerife. It stays in Tenerife.
That's Ebony's baby daddy right there. Okay.
True that. But no. We've seen, like, in other fights, Canelo. Terence Crawford can look easier to hit, right? But you saw him so locked in with his defensive effort, so conscientious, seeing everything, like watching his eyes through in the rounds, just the way that, like, the amount, like, and not every fighter is like, just because you can't sort of feel the focus like fuming off of them the way that it did with Crawford in his fight doesn't mean they're not focused, of course. But holy shit, you just felt like this guy was so locked in, bro. Like it was just an incredible performance on the night, and one that I think it has the most to do with how great of a fighter Terence Crawford is.
I couldn't have said it any better.
Not the preparation or the
And I don't even what Hank Williams is saying, what a lot of people are saying, this was payback for Canelo fighting School and all these, B plus guys and not Benavidez. I don't even agree with that. He literally fought a guy in a deep look. The spinoff conversation here is not only what could be or should be next for Crawford. It's literally, is he the GOAT of this era? Is he the best fighter of this? And this era has Usyk and Inoue, which is, and Canelo, which is crazy. And Bud might actually be I was actually assigned a story yesterday. Whose resume is better, Floyd versus Crawford, and who would win the fight? Like, that's the kind of talks we're having. A great fighter beat another great fighter, and that's the end of the story. That's what happened right there. Like, give the man his flowers. Don't kill Canelo. He tried his best. My favorite part of this fight was Canelo not saying after that he thought he won. Him just going, you know what? I'm a warrior. I take. Well, I didn't like that Max was like, all you ever do is take chances and dare to be great. Well, it's like there's this Benavidez elephant over there in the corner of the room, and
was he there? Was he in Vegas?
No, but I wanted to be like, you're lucky
Why
you didn't
not?
get beat by a man.
Doesn't he train in Vegas?
No, Miami. Miami is where he lives and trains. Okay. Yeah, he went from like Phoenix to Seattle, now Miami.
I know the Benavidez family is from Phoenix. Anyway, well, it's
thing
weird that he didn't go.
One other thing I wanted to adjust was Stephen T. A lot of people put this clip around of Anik Ward and Kellerman ringside, in which they're talking, the camera's on them, and then Anik's like, "Hey guys, you can look at me." That wasn't proof that those guys were beefing or that those guys didn't respect Anik. I've been in that spot a million times. Some producers and directors prefer that you look only at the action while you're doing that shot. Some prefer that you look at the camera. Some prefer that you look at each other. I think it was just Anik was working with UFC producers on this show. He was just like, hey guys, you can look at me, so that it's not awkward where they're like looking out that way. That's much ado about nothing.
By the way, but shout out to those old Making the Rounds clips where it's me, you, Eric Raskin lined up like some Russian Sergey Kovalev dolls, standing in a row, each of us just like shaking into the camera, being like, yeah, Brian, I really thought Zahir Rahim had a great night. Thank you. Okay, goodbye.
Dude, I hate watching those because I have no charisma, no emotion. I'm just like, we're here in Atlantic City for Bernard Hopkins. That's Rafe Bartholomew from Grantland. Good fight, huh?
Boom goes the alien.
All right. Quick aside here from Monzo, due to your New York heritage, Rafe, how did you? Okay, that's no Building 7 talk today. The idea of, is Crawford the best of this era? I ultimately wrote yes, but it's so close with him and Usyk, and obviously Inoue has not finished his story yet, and Crawford might not have finished his story yet. But I know this isn't your favorite exercise, but are you comfortable saying Crawford's the best fighter post Mayweather Pacquiao era?
For me, yes, I think I am. It's difficult. It feels I'm not. I have a hard time, when you put that to the test and say, well, do you really think that he's pound for pound greater than Inoue or Usyk, in this era? And I think it is appropriate to hold them up at, not only as the top 3 pound for pound fighters in the world right now, but also as shit, man, then there's guys like Bam, he might come along and show us something else. Anyway, let's let Bevo also, right. There are these other fighters where if you think about it, like, look, those fighters, when it comes, just like watching with my eyes, I'm not sure that if you put them in a ring next to if there was some way to make real fights against each other, I'm not sure I would actually pick. They're all great enough to be like, yo, this is a 50-50 fight, man. I give up. However, fuck, man. I mean, Crawford has an aura. Crawford has they all do. They all have their aura, but man, Crawford has something different. And the Canelo fight, the Spence fight, they really gave him the opportunity to show it in a way that it's almost. It allows his legacy and reputation to crest at almost the perfect time towards the end of his career, where there you see, and Usyk is doing something very similar, you have to say, in terms of the timing of it. But
and that nobody picked him. Both guys, Luke Thomas said yesterday, Bud became the face of boxing by force only. Right. No one was pushing him into that.
And that goes all the way back to the beginning, right? Getting chosen as a replacement opponent for Bradis Prescott and boxing circles around him for his HBO debut. And isn't the story that was it on a Mikey Garcia card, or it was when Mikey was rising through the ranks at Top Rank, and the Prescott's opponent fell out, and they were like, yo, who should we put in here? And Mikey was like, is that guy Crawford on the undercard? He beat me he was the best guy I faced in the amateurs. Put him in there. And then he went up. He had to go up and wait just to fight Prescott and just was a coming out party, right? And so all that has been with Crawford throughout his entire career. And I think that fans who watched him were like, yeah, this guy really looks that good. He looks that goddamn good. Thank you. On the Crawford and Prescott was the Alvarado Rios too. Look, you putting it on the screen. I figured you have it in your head.
I'm trusting this man. Like I'm trusting this man, but I'm going to look it up. You better believe that.
Look,
right?
Why wouldn't you trust Yo Mama 69? I mean, that's
Was that his
I love
name?
Yo Mama. Yes. I love Yo Mama. I love 69. Let's get it on. But no. In any case,
it was. Yes, it was. Thank you.
See,
sir.
what did
Thank
I say?
you.
Oh, no, you take it to the bank, Senator Trent. All right.
Wow, the blood bank on that one. Yeah.
No, Crawford. To me, I don't know. Look, this win against Canelo. It feels so big, man. And like what he accomplished. And the fact that, we've been watching him all these years. He hadn't gotten those opportunities. And it seemed like he wanted them. I know there was, and the narratives come in and out. Oh, how Bud really wanted him. He could have signed with PBC earlier, but he chose to re-sign with Top Rank for his last contract over there. Blah blah. Like he
chose the Evanesian payday rather than taking on Spence right away. But it
still
worked out. He also got screwed by Top Rank not getting the Manny fight. And I think the only reason he didn't get the Manny fight during that era was because Manny didn't think there was enough money in it for the risk,
I was thinking it was because Manny had to go over there to Australia and lose to Joe Horn. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith for one of his better boxing calls there.
That's a fair point.
But no, I mean the Horn, that was supposed to be when they were talking about Manny versus Crawford the most. And then Manny, has that fight with Jeff Horn. I thought he won pretty clearly, but whatever.
Yeah, right, Jeffrey.
Instead, Jeffrey has to fight. Jeffrey gets lifted by some strippers in Vegas and has to fight and gets the reward of having Bud Crawford basically end his career. Jeff Horn was a real man. All right. I still, again, think about all the guys who were excellent fighters who were on the wrong side of the street over the years, got to the position of, they got to the welterweights and the junior welterweights who got to the position of, we got to fight Terence Crawford for the belt or belts. And Crawford made them look like bums. They weren't bums. Jeff Horn, a big physical guy, fought 9 hard rounds, he made Terence Crawford beat the piss out of him. All right.
Yeah. But is it fair to say that Jeff Horn crawled? Jeff Horn crawled so George Kambosos can walk. I mean, that's kind of.
It's too. Look,
they're all bin men at the end. No.
But Jeff, Jeff Horn, Postol when he fought Crawford, and was outclassed. But that's what Crawford does that to really excellent fighters. It's shit, man. It's hard. I would have a hard. It's weird. I have a hard time saying that Crawford is clear cut number 1 pound for pound in this moment over Usyk and Inoue. But in terms of who's the greatest of this era, it's a much easier, it's a faster. Yeah, okay, I'm with Crawford on that one.
I put him number 1 pound for pound yesterday.
I think it's also the right call at the moment.
I mean, it's so tough to do this to Usyk or Inoue. We'll talk about the MJ win in a second. Good Lord, is he great? But dude, I mean, he moved up essentially three weight classes, and in between, he beat a really tough, unbeaten guy in Madrimov. I mean, it's just, and he's inactive, he's old, and he's doing this shit. Let's talk about what's next. I think he's too great, and there's too much money to be made to walk away. No one would bat an eye if he walked away. This isn't like trying to ask Roy to walk away at age 34 after he beat Ruiz just so he could be like number 3 pound for pound all time. It's not a realistic scenario. It is a realistic scenario at 38 to walk away, but he's still so good. So I think personally, he either gets massively overpaid for a Canelo rematch if Canelo, Netflix, and Turkey want that. I don't think anyone, while no one in boxing wants that rematch, seriously, we don't want it. We saw what we needed to see. But if they feel like it's too much money or ratings, not to be made, I would understand it. Number 2, he's a 5-division champion tied with legends. The only people to do it more is Oscar with 6 divisions, Manny with 8. Would it be worth it to go to this bottomless pit of middleweight where there's no studs at the moment and try to take either one title or potentially all of them if he can do that? I mean, Brody wants Crawford to go to 60 and he can beat Janibek and Adames in one night. There's Lara, there's Janibek and Adames. Those are the 3 fighters that have 4 belts. Should he, in your eyes, consider getting another big payday from Turkey? The report is that he made 40 to 50 million for this Canelo fight, not 10 million. That was false. So what if he makes something of the same to fight Janibek to become unified middleweight champion? Is that worth it to become a 6th division champion?
Yo, if they're paying you 50 million to beat Janibek, yeah, that's probably, it's hard to say that's not worth it. Is that a fight? So it makes sense, both going to middleweight, that idea makes sense in terms of Bud Crawford winning, adding more championships to his like another weight division there that he can say and get up to 6. The fights are not that interesting, right? And that doesn't mean that they're not credible. It doesn't mean it wouldn't matter. It's Bud Crawford. You want to see him anytime he's up. But man, it would not, like, it's tough to get that up for those fights. He's in a tricky position. I mean, I wouldn't, as much as I consider this Saturday's win over Canelo to be definitive and not requiring or really creating any logical demand for a rematch, I wouldn't mind seeing them try that again. I thought it was an awesome fight. Part of me thinks, I texted you this, Brian, so
I saw
if they rematch, I kind of think he stops Canelo. I think he comes in, he's fuck it. I know that I don't need to show this guy any respect. I can put it on him from start
we've
to
never
finish.
seen Canelo dropped, let alone stop.
I guess you got to grade it on the Canelo
This
curve.
ain't Jose Miguel Cotto, okay?
True, but man, I think he might be able to overwhelm. If he fought 10 rounds, like the 4 really definitive ones in this fight, if it ended up looking like that, I don't know. I mean, that just the sheer number of shots, the sharp punches, right? That Canelo would be taken in that one. I could see it. Anyway,
Virgil said he moved up to middleweight, but there's no belt there, so I don't want that. You know what I mean?
I don't know physically what it would be like for him to go back and compete at 154, which is a better weight class. There's more names, more interesting fights.
So he said at the press conference, no 154, won't do it. No 175, won't do it. And then Bomac said, absolutely not. If Benavidez comes down, they don't want it.
Okay, so what is there at 168? If you're not going to, so this is the thing. So one of the reasons this fight worked, and Canelo was a very credible 168-pound fighter, right? He was the undisputed champion at the division. And while I do have my quibbles about the champions that happened to be holding those belts at the time that Canelo fought them as not being the toughest. This wasn't Andre Ward's 168, right? This was not
Super 6.
Yeah, this was not Carl Froch, Jermaine Taylor, Kessler. Oh my God, Kessler was nasty.
Arthur Abraham back when he had it.
Even with the jaw.
Well, I got that poster right there. Who else we got? We got Froch, Abraham, Taylor,
Sakio.
Andre Durrell was like legit, dude.
Talented, yeah. Sakio Bika, roughing you up,
Yep.
cutting up your eyeballs.
I think what's that guy? Alan something made an appearance.
Oh, Alan Green getting slept by Kessler, yes.
From Oklahoma. Yeah, shout out. Floyd knows him.
So anyway, look. But part of what made this work was Canelo started his career in about the same weight classes that Crawford came from, right? I mean, they are the same height. Crawford is longer. He has a better reach, but it was surprising, I think, at how Crawford was able to, in his first fight at 168 pounds, look completely comfortable at that weight, show none of the possible, and some will probably say probable, downsides of having to jump two weight classes after jumping one weight class in your last fight to compete at such a higher weight than ever before. Didn't seem to slow him down. Didn't seem to affect his stamina. He seemed to take all the good aspects and none of the bad. That's shocking. But he's still not like Canelo. Even though he was the champion of the division, he wasn't a natural 168 pounder. He wasn't.
Yes.
Like he's a stocky ass, middleweight or junior middleweight.
Kind of middleweight,
yeah. And so that made it make sense. It doesn't make sense, but if Crawford wants to stay at 168, but doesn't want to fight the actually much bigger natural 168 pounders who are probably, cutting a lot more weight than Canelo has to make the weight, who are coming down from 100, walking around weights of 190 pounds and are 6 feet tall. If those guys are too big, then why not go back down, right? Like if it's a flat out no to Benavidez, what about Morrell? What about, I know that he's been at 175 too, but what about?
So the only guy I can think of at 68, not even Mbili, who we're going to talk about in a second, but I think Hamza Shiraz, because Turkey has such a boner for him, that if Turkey's going to pay you $75 million to do a main event in Riyadh against Shiraz for the undisputed super middleweight championship, that may end up being the best offer he has. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he wants that, but I mean, Shiraz just beat all up on Berlanga, but he also looked very human against Adames. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, some people like Monzo are saying Eubank in England. I think the flip side for Canelo, you can do Eubank in England. You can do Mbili in a war if you wanted to. You can do, who else? I guess Jake Paul, right? Jamal maybe, says Yo Mama.
Wouldn't it be fun? Like, I don't know if either Charlo is really at a point in their careers where they're credible opponents, but there was so much, it would be a good build up to a fight with Crawford for either Jermell or Jamal or both, why not? Why not both? To see, just because they talk so much shit over the years and they're hotheads in general, Crawford clearly delights in taking the air out of some of those guys' balloons, and has proved to be pretty fucking good at it over the years. It would be kind of fun, but also they just don't make sense anymore. Those guys have not been fighting, in meaningful boxing matches for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I'm with you. They've been counting them rocks from the Canelo payday for Jermell, and Jamal's been in and out of hell, but
he's not counting too many rocks.
Yeah, I hope not either. Melcar X, BC, did Dana offer to go gambling with you after the interview? No. I did get to interview Dana before the weigh-in on Friday for about 10 minutes. He didn't recognize that he hates me. He always forgets who I am, and it always sort of plays into my favor. It's like, hey buddy, how are you? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. That's good. But I'm part of the family now, basically. I'm basically a TKO employee moving forward with Paramount. So that was good. Another question coming at you from Remix. How much liquid crack did you consume on Saturday?
Oh man. I mean, you got to factor in, I had to make it all the way till 3 a.m. when this motherfucking thing was over. So yeah, I had 2 liters on stack, just whatever, all hands on deck. I needed to get to the end.
All right.
I had Panama Lewis mixing my Coke Zero for me. All right. I was using the one that he mixed.
You should have mixed it with that Juggalo Red. What do you call that?
Oh, the Fago, Rock and
baby.
Rye. Yeah.
Fago, baby. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's go quickly because we have rightfully so given Bud a lot of this show. Quickly through this undercard.
Wait. I want to know, what do you want him to do? It's hard to answer. There's no perfect answer. He looks so great. I don't want to see him retire, but I don't know where he should go either. What do you want to see him do?
I think history or stupid money is the answer. Look, if Netflix gets behind this Canelo rematch, that's a great way to end your career with a second win over Canelo and try to go for the stoppage like you're talking about. If he can get it, or maybe it turns into a trilogy for all we know. Maybe Canelo does better and he backdoors a decision, and then we go, okay, we got a real rivalry to close out your career here. I think it would be super cool to fight Janibek to try to become the unified middleweight champion and go 6 divisions and then call it a day. But I agree that, like the Madrimov fight, there'd be zero buzz, or not zero, but there wouldn't be a ton of buzz around that. I don't think he should fight a name in a non-title fight. I mean, yeah, I think it's how about Janibek or Canelo? I mean,
those are both good answers. I mean,
yeah.
neither is like a man. There's just no. It's weird. It is an unusual situation where the guy has won it just had one of the greatest performances we can remember, period, in our lifetimes, and on the biggest possible stage, period, right? 70,000 people, however many millions got to watch on Netflix, blah 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 blah, and then it's like it's sort of hard to figure out where you can even go from that. And like Canelo, like I'm more excited about Canelo's options because it's sort of like he's got this burden off his back. He can just go have some awesome fights before he calls it quits. Go fight somebody. Go I think Canelo beat the shit out of Nbili, but I wouldn't mind
Shiraz. I mean, dude, Canelo Shiraz would be an absolute banger too.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you think about Lazy Bed saying Fago Rock and Rye?
It is legit. Yeah, hell yeah.
What about Candy Apple, available exclusively at Sheetz, which will probably make you take one after you drink it, right?
Sheetz. I look for Sheetz when I'm on the road in Ohio.
Damn right.
But they're fairly new.
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania. Yeah, that whole stretch, 90 and 80, they're all over the place. But they've just started moving into Macomb County here, a little bit east of me. So when I stop, I will get that the Candy Apple. I'll give it a try.
All right. Steven says, do you think Bud beat Canelo better than Bivol? Bud landed way more power shots and bested him at every range. No, I actually believe Bivol beat him better. Bivol kind of beat Canelo up against the ropes, and I felt he was kind of closing in on a potential stoppage. Like, you didn't see Canelo going down, but Canelo tried the rope-a-dope and was just kind of there to be punched, like straight, quick-ass punches the whole time. Do you agree? I think maybe all right, maybe Crawford solved Canelo more because he had to as a smaller man, but Bivol kind of beat that ass despite being 7-5 on all three scorecards.
That's tough. I think I'm more with Steven, man. I was just like the way that just seeing someone land, because Canelo's been hard to hit. He is hard to hit, right? And he's become an outstanding defensive fighter over the years, and both in his trunk movement, his head movement, his ability to see shots, also his ability just to dictate the action. So usually his opponents aren't letting their hands go because they're worried about what is coming back at them. To see Crawford figure all that out and just land cleanly, those 3-4, like when he was landing in combination, it was just art, man. It was Brian Campbell style art. I know art.
I paint art. I never show you my art because I'm embarrassed, but no, I'm kidding. Do you want to see my art? I'm working on something right now.
Yeah, let me.
All right, but you got to be honest, all right?
It better not be like a dildo.
I'm a very colorful individual here. Okay. Let's go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
She's just get the fuck out of here, Rafe. That's cool, man. Little abstract art. I like it.
I'm very abstract, and my family tells me they all look the same, but
these are a few of my incredible thoughts.
Those are my thoughts on life, and they're all political statements about the divide in our world. All right, they're just through the.
I don't even know what you're talking about there, Brian.
Neither do I, really, to be fair with you. But it's a good project deep in the 8th row, if you know what I'm saying. All right, let's hit it here. Damn, there's so many things I want to talk about this fight. We're gonna run out of time. Let me ask you this: I'm ultimately not mad that Dana put Callum Walsh in the co-main. Callum White, yeah.
Is that somebody?
It's clear that Dana wants Callum Walsh to be the face of TKO or Zuffa boxing, whatever it's going to be. So him putting him in there against one of Vargas's kids who's unbeaten, I thought it was good matchmaking. I thought it had potential to be really good. I mean, in reality, should Ambilian Martinez been in the co-main? Yes, especially after watching it. I don't think it's Dana's fault what happened, but it's clear watching that broadcast, for everything Dana has said over the years about what he hates about boxing, it's clear that he didn't end up having the control over that broadcast that he expected. It seems clear that there was some type of war going on between him and Turkey. You saw the end of the press conference when Turkey said, Dana's now going to announce something huge. And Dana's like, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming, and then Dana just looked so angry sitting next to Turkey. So the fact that this was a insanely long card, the fact that there's musical performances, the fact that there's this 45-minute delay before the main event, That's all not Dana. Okay. That is stuff that I feel like doesn't fall in line with the narrative of this fight being the debut for Zuffa Boxing, right? You know what I mean? I thought the broadcast looked great, but some of that is Netflix paying for all the bells and whistles. Some of it is the UFC production people producing that. I thought the Callum Walsh thing was a good gamble, but it ultimately failed. It made both fighters not look good at all. Vargas was clearly not ready for prime time. Walsh, although I thought he kind of outclassed him from the outside, did not step it up and go for it in a moment that could have doubled down on whatever early stardom he's collecting. All in all, boxing fans hated it. They said, see, this is why Dana shouldn't be here. I mean, there's nothing really great you can say about it outside of the fact that Walsh won handily, and I don't even know why the broadcast kept saying it was a close fight or that Vargas was close to winning it. He was getting dominated in a shitty fight, to be fair.
Yeah, look, I barely paid attention, man. I wasn't high on either fighter coming in. I didn't have high expectations for it as a co-main. I also think that, the boxing audience has the knives out for TKO and Riad season to some extent. I think the boxing audience has also been pretty complimentary of Riad season and just the kind of fights it's made. But now that it seems to be entering this, we're going to take over and change and fix boxing. And, I think the boxing fan, the boxing audience has shifted a little bit towards, we saw Sean Porter's podcast partner, Sean Zettel, turning the screws during the press conference in a really admirable way with Dana. That
was a bad performance from Dana, straight up. That was a not good.
He should have known that somebody was going to do that. Like, that's
not even have either an answer or a shitty answer that can turn the conversation in a new direction, but instead to just dunk on the guy. You mix that with that Amber Dixon interview from Monday with PBS Las Vegas, and it wasn't a great week for Dana in that regard.
Yeah, and I honestly, as boxing fans, I think we lucked out that someone who can kind of, ask those questions in a way that's professional and smart and clear, the way that Sean did was really impressive. Sometimes we get those moments where it's like it happens to be some other guy in the boxing press corps who decides, like, I'm going to be the hero today, and is like trying to put trying to yell at Bob Bennett and NSAC and be like, what excuse do you possibly have for this? Are you talking about
Michael Montero after
do you remember that? That was a great performance. It wasn't like true to his soap opera roots. Like, he stepped up. But like in this case, we saw someone stand up and really ask smart questions that Dana, for whatever reason, didn't even have sort of a good talking point answer for. And that's not, I'm not trying to, this is all a long setup to say, despite all of the issues that boxing fans have with what we think TKO and Turkey may or may not be up to with the future of the sport, let's not kid ourselves and act like a top-ranked pay-per-view that with Canelo and Crawford at the top of the bill, or a PBC one or a Matchroom one, wouldn't be 50%, crappy promoter A-side fights, just like the one we saw with Callum Walsh and Fernando Vargas Jr. Like that. This is the kind of fight that ends up on, they're trying to promote someone. They aren't that good. They're trying to sell it too hard because the guy's not that good, but we still have to get through the fight. Like, it is part of every major event. And sure, I guess if TKO and them are out here saying, well, we're changing the way we do boxing broadcasts, it doesn't look good for the biggest and first, the coming out party, to then begin with a boxing broadcast that has all of the bad aspects of every other major pay-per-view, even though this wasn't a pay-per-view in our lifetimes. But this is like, it would have been the same bullshit if Al was in charge. It would have been the same, at least in terms of not
that badly, dude.
The fights on the undercard.
When you mix together the Callum Walsh fight not living up to any expectation, mixed with that young Saudi kid together in the, like, that was painful.
They sucked ass, but that happens on every card, man.
Okay, but normal. Look, most cards are aimed at the boxing audience. This one was not. The Netflix cards are aimed at the casuals. Let's be straight up about this. So Luke Thomas had a point that he thinks it should be a 3-fight card on Netflix. I'm wondering if it even needs to be less. 1. No, I'm wondering if
give me 1 or 2.
You get one co-main fight that either is a guaranteed banger or is a young fighter in a step-up tough fight where You know he's going to get an early finish, and it's like, wow, Carmel Moten is the future of this sport. This is great. And then you go right into that main event, so you're not making casuals go, well, I guess I tuned in and gave them their click, but there's no chance I'm waiting through another 3 hours of this bullshit. I feel like if it's Netflix, we got to have a new way of presenting this, unless Netflix wants a long broadcasting window, but it's not like it's live. I mean, it's live, but it's not like that's your only option. You can watch whatever you want on Netflix at any time, right?
Was there any talk about, I wasn't really factoring in like UFC Noche taking place on the same night, but also, of course, it's college football season. Steven Espinoza famously always used to say, well, we want that because we're trying to get the college football West Coast audience in before, we start the main event. Like, this is why they start so late, blah, 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 blah. Like, was there any talk that they were trying to time it so that they could get the Noche main event done and then begin this one?
It was obvious because they started the Noche main card at 6 p.m. Eastern. So it was obvious that they were giving it that 3-hour block so that it would end just as the Netflix main card was. And look, I mean, in some ways, if you're a fan of both, it was a banger night because the end of that UFC card was on fire, and then you go right into the boxing. But there's no big fights this weekend in either sport for the most part. So it's like, hey, you could have just put that Noche card this Saturday and not, but whatever on that.
Well, also, I mean, Mexican Independence Day is September 16th. So, I guess
yesterday.
Yeah, you could do the other. You could bracket it. Yeah.
A lot of people are asking the same question that Yo Mama is. Did it feel strange that Dana didn't participate in the post-fight press conference because he never misses one for a big UFC? Well, he does miss them, and he doesn't always show up too. But my answer on this is, I don't think it's great that he skipped it. I think that it feeds into this narrative that he wasn't in full control and that they're at odds. But at the same time, to be very honest, the main event was such a success in terms of being interesting and being entertaining if you love great boxing, that I think Kellen Walsh came out for the post presser for like 5 minutes, and then it was Bud followed by Canelo. That was great. Now, you did want a representative there to sort of sum up, but at the same time, like, sometimes that's bullshit too. Do you feel like Dana not showing up really sent the message that he was a promoter in name only and this was a turkey event?
I don't know. I mean, it was a turkey event. It's Turkey's money. It's his event. Like, I know it's his event. Does Tom Brown, how much does Tom Brown talk out in those PBC, whatever?
He doesn't talk post. They go right to the fighters.
Right. Because it ain't his event. He's just a promoter of record.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, let's talk quickly about that super middleweight tilt. Christian Mbili went in there against unbeaten Lester Martinez. Pro Box alum, did not have the same experience that Mbili did coming through, knocking out Sulechki, taking a decision from Derevyanchenko. It almost felt in the beginning like Mbili was just like, I don't respect this guy, and I'm going to walk through him. I'm going to fight like a marauder. And dude, they gave us 10 insane rounds. That has to be in consideration for fight of the year. Both guys in some way got elevated. Dude, it was a war of attrition. What'd you make of that brawl?
It was definitely a war. I don't feel good about myself because I like me a lot of good old fashioned slobber knockers. I have, big fan of Rios and Alvarado back in the day. Maybe not the third, maybe not the trilogy fight, but still, Margarito wars. Like, I'm down for this, right? This time, for whatever reason, it wasn't singing to me in the same way. I recognize the guts on display, the inside fighting, the activity rate. It was just it was nasty, but still, there was still a side of me, like there's a little Tyson Fury devil on my shoulder whispering like, no panache.
Really?
Waste of money.
So what I said.
These guys have no panache.
So, okay.
Except for the rat tail.
I had a controversial take about Rios Alvarado 1. While it was a very good action fight and memorable, I remember the next day Kevin Iole wrote a piece that it was the best action fight of this century up to that point, which means it exceeded Ward Gotti, Corrales Castillo, and Pascal Marquez.
It was clearly a terrible.
So Kev, get the F out of here, okay?
Yeah. You should have retired then, son.
But my issue with that fight only was that everyone talked it up coming in like it will be the greatest fight ever. Both fighters wanted it to be. And even though they fought their balls off, there were no knockdowns or crazy swings of momentum. I felt it lacked the character of like Bradley Provodnikov, which was just Is that what you're trying to say, or are you trying to say that there wasn't enough skill in there? Like, what are you saying?
It was skill. I think it's more. Actually, I felt the way you described Rios Alvarado 1 kind of is how I felt about watching Mbili and Martinez, where there weren't these momentum swings like that. Yeah, like one fighter would take the initiative back and forth, but it was every round sort of felt a little bit this, and then like it started later on, the attrition started to show on Mbili more. It got, it started to be some more drama. But for me, it's just like there was something one note about it. And look, that's a great note to play. Like there's go ahead and call me a fucking idiot, because I kind of sound like one, and I recognize.
No. You sound great.
A
lot of people are hitting me up with the same thing. Matisse Maidana Rat Tail come back. And let's go to Galach, a great supporter of Red Wine and this podcast, the new father himself. Can we get a Mount Rushmore of Boxeo Rat Tails? Does Lester Martinez make the cut? You've got Costa Tszyu, Matisse, Nico Macias, Jorge Paez. Are we forgetting Kermit Lajarnaga?
Thank you. Yeah, I was like the most, like, my Mount Rushmore starts with Kerman Lejaraga, the Spanish destroyer who managed to knock out a couple of UK blokes and win a European championship before kind of falling out.
But you would say the combo of fighting like a badass, taking everything Mbili had, and having a rat tail, like Lester Martinez has to be on your radar now.
He's on, yeah. Like I it's weird. The fight made me want to see both of them again against other opponents. Like I'm excited for their next fights, but I kind of wanted to see more of a clash in styles. And it's not just they were not fighting exactly the same way. Billy was really just sort of marching forward and just applying pressure. Martinez appeared to be trying a few different things in there, but it just felt
Cardenas too. Yes.
Ramon. Yes. Yeah. It just felt there's something about it. I wanted there to be some momentum shifts, a little more drama. I mean, there was drama. I don't know, man. It didn't capture me. It didn't sing to me.
I feel like Mbili,
he was not that good.
He almost shot his load by trying too hard to go in there and be a destroyer, when if he would have adjusted with a little more nuance and not kind of faded down the stretch, he could have got the win, first of all. And then, we would be talking about, like, should he fight Canelo next or something like that? But instead, we're just like, maybe we'll see this one again. Hey, shout out Brandon Adams, 36 years old. Boacek said he was old, and that's the difference between the first two fights. Remember the first fight, I jinxed Boacek by comparing him to Triple G before he got sent to hell. And then Brandon Adams gets inside on him. It was a back and forth war, but Adams dominated on the scorecards. Dude, that's a bad loss in a sense for Sergey Boacek, who got all the respect in that Virgil Ortiz loss because he dropped him twice, and a lot of people thought he got screwed on the cards. He's gotten some big wins. I didn't expect this from Brandon Adams.
It was an awful loss for Boacek. The motherfucker went to Vegas and crapped out. Like, is he go straight back to go, or whatever, go to jail, do not pass, go. Like, he's not, like, Boacek came in with so much career momentum. People talking about him like a real championship contender at 154 pounds. Like, did the fight with Ortiz win fight of the year, or was it just, in consideration? It was among the best fights of the last year. Yes. It was an outstanding fight. It was a war. It was so he seemed to be on the rise. Everything going for him with Brandon Adams' age. And I hadn't seen much of Adams, honestly, since he beat Boacek the first time. He's like, I know he takes a couple fights here and there. He lost to Charlo, but a bunch of stuff that doesn't really mean anything to me. But he just to lose so comprehensively, to walk into the fight and apparently never have had one single idea about how he might win the fight, and just and then have Brandon Adams sort of stand there and be like, I don't even need to beat you fighting my fight. I can fight your fight and still beat you just as easily. And it'll be a wide decision. And you couldn't script out a worse performance or outcome for Boacek. And let him go fight Callum Walsh on TKO, because apparently that's the level of fighter he is.
Yeah. All right. All in all, we had talked about what the ratings could be, considering Jake Paul and Mike Tyson on Netflix did 63 million concurrent views, a total of 100 something million views. There was 75 million viewers apparently that saw that co-main chick rematch at that time. When they did the chick trilogy card, I think it only did like 9 million. So the report here that came out quickly in the last couple of days was that it did 41 million viewers overall. But then you got Dave Meltzer and others saying, like, hold on, they're kind of cooking the numbers a bit by saying that. The reality is the half of those were US viewers, so only 20 million in the US saw it. And in terms of concurrent viewers, during the main event, it was only like 23 million. And so you had Max Kellerman saying all week that this would be the most watched fight card since 90 million people saw Leon Spinks and Muhammad Ali 2 on ABC in 1978. That certainly was forgetting the Jake Paul, and then he would adjust that during the week and say, well, the biggest championship fight since. Then you had Turkey tweeting the day after the fight that it was the most watched fight of all time, which it clearly wasn't. How do you take in this 41 million views when a lot, like Arturo says, a lot of people thought it would be at least 60 for the money put into it in this era now of no pay-per-view and live on Netflix, where 3/4 of the world seems to have Netflix, I think, or I don't know the numbers. Does this seem like a huge win or just a good win, or do we not really have a proper comparison because Mike Tyson fighting at 58 was such an anomaly unto itself?
Yeah, there is no track record for this to really compare it to. Even if, like, I'm not like, let's include Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul and that sort of circus and everyone, just the curiosity that drew all the eyeballs to that. Cool, but that's only one other event really to compare this to, plus the trilogy fight between Serrano and Taylor. And there's just so none of those events. You can make an argument that none of those events really make sense to compare to each other, because one is in the highest level, male, like boxing between two of the biggest male champions, in recent years, or of this generation. One is a great women fight between women, but like that's not as popular on its own as the men's sports are at this point in time. And then one is just a circus fight, which, I mean, probably, I guess they paid off enough people. I guess they convinced.
Oh my God. I got Nikisa on the phone. Sorry. He didn't mean that.
I didn't mean that. I guess they convinced enough people to make it some sort of not just exhibition, but it's an exhibition. It's just, it was supposed to be an exhibition. Thankfully, like an exhibition, nobody got hurt. So they don't really, it's hard to compare any of them together. And just to say that 41 sounds low or 24 sounds low or whatever gigantic number, people were blowing loads like Sal Pal loads over 4 million for Manny and Jeff Horn on ESPN at the beginning of the top. Yeah, of course, they're all different, but I'm just saying the idea that 20 million or more, or 40 million people watch this fight, that's the biggest audience in my lifetime for a real boxing match.
But I don't think we know that. Here's my point on this. Mayweather Pacquiao is supposedly the pay-per-view record of 4.6 million people watching. But those numbers are just North America. And the reason why those is because it was explained to me that in Europe and other places, pay-per-views are a lot cheaper. It's harder back then, pre-streaming, to really be able to judge that. So if 4.6 million houses paid for it, that doesn't speak to globally. It doesn't speak to how many people illegally pirated it. So, like, is Mayweather Pacquiao a fight that in reality 75 million people watch live? We have no idea. We have no way of understanding that. Just like I don't even know if we have a clue to understand how many people for Ali Frazier 1 went to a closed circuit thing or listened on the radio or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, whatever was the thing. How many? I know there's less people in the world back then, but I can't imagine that this fight, as much as I loved covering it, historical result, this fight wasn't as popular as Schmeling Lewis 2 so like anytime you're going to say these numbers, it's always, you can't compare this to any of the Floyd Mayweather pay-per-views because that's just the people that paid $100 legally for it. It's like, That's hard. That's really hard.
Look, yes, comparing them does not really make a whole lot of sense. And yeah, I also agree that Netflix, I'm sure, is shading its numbers somehow, like because every streaming company is, they're not required to report much. The way that there isn't a great way that, like, I mean, I don't even know how much stock we wanted to put into the Nielsen methodology for broadcast and cable television over the years, but at least it was a fair, like, I guess they've been messing with the formula in recent years, but for a long time it was at least a consistent method of gathering numbers. So maybe the numbers were always wrong, but like you could compare them to each other regularly in a way that made sense. But here, I mean, streaming companies today, they're just a black box when it comes to numbers. They choose what to tell you. They probably only tell you the numbers that sound good. I'm sure that the truth does not quite live up to whatever they're reporting. No, it does not pay to be honest ever in any business. But so what? I don't doubt that many millions of people watched this fight.
Yes.
If the way that we're going to sort of pick nits with that argument is saying, well, maybe more people actually saw, Maypac. Well, that was the biggest fight that literally was the fight of the century.
Yes.
And it may not be eclipsed by any fight for the rest of the century. So if that's the case, then it's in pretty good company. And if it didn't get past that mark, it did all right.
And I do agree that it wasn't promoted to the full potential that it could have been, that there was some like cruising involved and like, well, hey, it's on Netflix. Everybody has Netflix. I also feel like,
you got a problem with cruising now? Really?
Cruising was made for box. I'll say this about HE. I don't think he knows how to promote the right way. I think he's coming up with great innovations in some ways. I think that there's certainly a lot that he's bringing with the fights he's paying for. I mean, look, I have to say, like, being on the ground at the Fontainebleau, there was a lot of, I don't know if they're necessary, but there's like massive statues of Canelo and Crawford. They're giving out free t-shirts everywhere. Netflix people, like, there's some elements to it that they tried really hard and spent a lot of money, but from grassroots promotion, no, I don't think they went all out for this one. But hey, we can't talk about this fight for 2 hours. Let's go over to Hank Williams. Let's transition. We did have a fight Sunday morning in Japan. Hank says Inoue made easy work of MJ Murajan Akhmadaliev, the former 122 unified champion. Don't doubt the monster. Now, some people were saying MJ had a chance. Blasphemy. MJ had been saying that Inoue was ducking him. And look, this was a fight we needed to see. So, Rafe, we saw it. It was a one-sided, unanimous decision. What do you say about Inoue after this performance?
So I have two minds on how Inoue looked. Just in a sort of like an objective sense, he was almost flawless. He was in control of every moment of the fight, except for he took a shot in like with 3 seconds left that actually seemed to shake him up a little bit. But like he did whatever he wanted. He controlled the distance. He could move in, land beautiful shots when he needed to. MJ was very cautious in a way. I don't know if Akhmadaliev planned on fighting as negative as he wound up doing, or he just felt what the monster, what Inoue was bringing to him, and decided to play things a lot safer as the fight went on. So Inoue looked. It was just it was an A+ performance. I read after the fact, I saw, Adam Abramovitz, Saturday Night Boxing, who's been, like analyzing the sport for as long as I've been following it seriously, agreeing with some other folks online that Inoue seemed to be, seemed to have made a clear decision. Okay, he'd been criticized and doubted a little bit in some of the recent fights because he got knocked down against Neri. He got knocked down against Cardenas. And came back on to stop those fighters in pretty spectacular fashion. But they thought that it looked like Inoue wanted to prove that, hey, I can still shut out a world-class opponent who's better than those other guys who you thought, who you thought I was having trouble with because I let myself get caught.
Isn't that the same thing that Spence wanted to do to Mikey Garcia? He purposely didn't try to hurt him or finish him because he thought people were saying that Mikey's a better boxer pound for pound.
Mikey got that round. Okay. Yeah, look, if that's the case, then I don't like that approach. And Inoue pulled it off greatly, but I found myself thinking, all right, you're beating this guy. Looks like you can do whatever you want. He's not like, why not step it up a little bit? Test it, see how he reacts if you apply a little more pressure. Go for the kill a little bit. And Inoue doesn't need to prove his power to anyone. He doesn't. But it's, to me, there were moments where he was so far ahead, in such control of the fight. He started to get that look of the super talented fighter who is about to get bored with starting to play with his food because he's bored with what the opponent is bringing to him. A lot of the and like, some people like it, so, it certainly is impressive when Inoue can, clown and mug and pose in front of MJ, and then MJ still won't let his hands go, and then wait, bolo punch, sort of just making a show of it. The show I wanted to see was him to go in and
beat that ass. I mean, he did go to the body in the mid rounds, like aggressively.
Look, by the end of the fight, the hurting still landed on MJ. It was pretty clear.
I mean, Inoue couldn't miss with that right hand too against the southpaw, the lead right hand. It was perfect all night. Yeah, I wonder if there was some of that. I mean, you were kind of tell me if I'm wrong here. You were kind of texting me when I was on the plane ride home, and I hadn't seen the fight live, that maybe we are getting the picture like he shouldn't go to 126, that like there's enough big fights left at 22. This might be the perfect ceiling for him. Am I reading that correctly?
I can't remember for sure, but like, that's how I have always felt. Especially with the fighters currently at 126 pounds, to me, I'm less interested in that than him, either staying at 122 and waiting for Nakatani to go up, then maybe figuring out a catch weight, or I probably think Bam is good enough and bold enough and daring enough to jump up, to try and do his own version of a Bud Crawford and jump up, a couple of weight classes and fight at 122 pounds, if that's where Inoue insists on having that fight somewhere down the line. Those are the elite. Those are the best fights on the horizon for all of them combined. Like, those are the legacy fights for them. The collecting more belts against lesser, bigger opponents, to me, doesn't really turn me on.
Nick Paul, your time is not now.
That guy ain't good, man. He ain't good.
So here's the deal. Already we're hearing that Inoue will make that Saudi debut at the end of December against Mexican David Allen Picasso in a mandatory. I called Picasso's last fight. He's pretty good, but he's not going to hurt Inoue.
Would you say that Inoue is going to rearrange that face, Picasso
that ear,
style?
or is that Van Gogh? I'm not sure.
That's the ear. Yeah, no.
The beautiful rearrange that beautiful face. Are we making Pacquiao De La Hoya Lampley references here?
No, like a Picasso. Anyway, man, forget you. Uncultured swine.
Picasso, yeah. I'll say that I hear that Junto is going to like give up his titles at 118 and make his 122 debut possibly on that card. So that could be the setup for Inoue Nakatani to open next year. And then if we can get the Bam fight, within the next year plus, this is a very good roadmap for one Naoya Inoue. But to be fair, if he's fighting for either pound for pound kingship right now or number one of the era, it's going to be hard to beat in terms of noise. Bud moving up and beating Canelo, or Usyk cleaning out this heavyweight division and staying unbeaten at 38. So he is so great, though. I mean, Inoue is a one of one, right? Look, he is so damn great.
Well, it's hard. Yeah, he is absolutely that great. It is. I cannot say how hard it is for me to imagine a fighter sort of taking the pedestal I have Terence Crawford on right now, like in terms of the defining fighter of the era, blah, blah, blah stuff. But if Inoue were to fight were to beat Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez, come on, like that resume starts to be sort of undeniable, especially if he does it in style. I mean, those are outstanding fighters, and
Junto is very good, dude. He's
unbelievable. And honestly, like, it might not be. I mean, as great as Inoue is, those two fighters appear to be so close to him in terms of talent. They haven't shown quite as much yet, arguably, but they are like. It could be one of those other two that comes out of that little round robin, and you're like, wait a minute, if Bam beat those guys, then maybe he's the defining fighter of this era. Like,
damn, I want that shit, but I don't want it on the Facebook page of Top Rank. Let's freaking go here. Arturo's on me for missing your joke. Rafe's joke was solid. Cubism, come on. Picasso painted multiple dimensions. And me as an artist, just missing it completely. There we go.
Check out a little painting called Guernica. Look up the blue period. You might like it.
The blue period. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you very much. We got a few more things to close the show. A couple people. I'm trying to access these things here. Is Top Rank getting a TV deal? I hear it's going to be announced soon. It could be Stars, which is what Glazer announced. By the way, I don't mean to clown Glazer necessarily, but I saw Rick Glazer enter Allegiant Stadium from my high up perch. He had a floor seat, and he had to stop twice on the walk down the riser to collect his breath. I mean,
hey, hang in there, big guy.
Hang in there.
Who do you think got him the seat?
I don't understand that either, to be fair.
Yeah.
But like, why are we putting this on the like not even the Top Rank YouTube channel? It's on the Top Rank Facebook page. I mean, shout out to Corey Erdman. He's the king of international fights. All right, let's get into some fairly wells. This one, I guess, just happened in the last hour. Thank you for the support of the show, Lazy Bed. Not to bring down the mood, but RIP Tom Gerbasi. So Tom Gerbasi, a longtime combat sports scribe, going back to the Max Boxing days, UFC.com. I had never met him until I was working last year for Team Combat League. And God, everything people are already saying in the tributes online is true. Just a gentle, amazing soul. And the heartbreaking thing is he just authored a boxing book, and his publicist emailed me asking, would I like to interview him? And I was going to reach out and have him on my YouTube channel because he is such a historical scribe, a great dude. Have you ever crossed paths with Tom Gerbasi? I don't know the details of his death.
Yeah, I don't think I actually ever got to meet Tom, but you said it like his work. I've read his work over the years again and again and again, and he did it well and he did it honestly. And it's like I have so much respect for the writers. I respect athletes. I respect box. I respect BC. I respect commentator. But really, deep down, I still identify as a writer. And when it comes to boxing writers, I really respect these guys who stuck with it and managed to do quality work over the course of fucking decades, man.
And not getting into feuds with fighters.
Exactly.
They
didn't do any bullshit, cared about the game, covered it well, went from weird ass platform to weird ass platform, just able to roll with the punches and have the sort of generosity of spirit because boxing is full of shit, man. There's a lot of good writers, I can think of, who just threw up their hands and said, fuck it. I love the sport, but I don't need this no more. I might be one of them. And
we pulled you out of retirement for this and it's going great, but you're a salty mustachioed man. There's no doubt about it.
But just, so the writers who, had the combination of the right personality and the integrity to do quality work over such a long period of time when almost every boxing, to do that kind of work, but when you're doing good, serious, responsible work, like the kind of Tom would do, boxing is either trying to pull you out or co-opt you or turn you into some kind of some kind of propagandist for name this promoter, and you resist all that. You get through all the bullshit all those years. That's a great career, man. I really respect it.
I know, seriously. And heartbreaking news, a dad, a grandpa, many things. Tom Gerbasi, RIP. The same, of course, is going to go for, there's only one, Ricky Hatton, Hank Williams, saying always the people's champ in and out of the ring. So this news would break almost immediately after Crawford Canelo ended. Hatton, 46 years old. Now, we don't have I don't believe we even have a cause of death. No one's looking to speculate. Has Ricky had, no one's looking to speculate.
Yeah.
Okay. Ricky was always a relatable guy because he was sort of this hard partier guy who didn't take himself seriously. His performances leading up to Mayweather fight in the 24/7 are the stuff of comedic legend. We love this man going in there at home against Costa Tszyu to win the title in an absolute war and making him not be able to get up off his stool for the 12th round, going into the Boxing Hall of Fame, even though he did sort of retire young after the consecutive losses there in big fights to Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. How would you try to encapsulate what Ricky Hatton meant to us as boxing fans.
Before anything else, I would recommend that listeners and viewers check out some of the stuff that our friends and colleagues over in the UK have been putting together, because they really watched and felt every moment of Ricky Hatton's career and what it meant to them and what it meant to sports fans and just people in like in the UK. They've released some really powerful stuff. So I'm talking about the BBC 5 Live crew with Bunsey and them, Mike Costello. It's just like stuff that has moved me and taught me some things I didn't know about the earlier times in Ricky Hatton's career. For me, he stands out as one of these handful of really, really special characters, a great fighter who is also manages, because he has this magnetic personality both in and outside the ring, to be adopted as the true sort of face of a nation. He is fight, like when this is not just a fighter from our country. He represents us in a way that feels different from all the other fighters from the same country. He embodied, he's just, and have that people's champ feel. So, I mean, like, and you saw it with Ricky Hatton in the UK. I think Manny Pacquiao has had that effect for Filipino fans over the years. People could have a better idea than, but I guess I have a sense that no one has really surpassed Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., El Gran Campeón, as that fighter from Mexico, the fighter that embodies just like this is who we are. Exactly. And we love this, even if he's not perfect in and outside the ring, we love this guy. He's one of us.
And so damn relatable, right? Like just a good dude.
And just, I mean, like, and you hear that those testimonies, I mean, one, hey, boxing scene, people listening or whoever still, reporting on the sport. One angle that if I were still like an assigning editor for boxing right now, I'd be asking someone to look at would be, like the Vegas perspective, like the short oral history of Ricky Hatton's appearance, fights in Vegas, because it sounded like that, like the town loved him, not just, and the business that he brought, just the atmosphere that came whenever it happened to be a Ricky Hatton fight week. You don't expect a fighter, you like North American fight, like, American fighters from Mexico, those great champions, makes sense for them to have that sort of effect on Vegas. But Hatton came in when they were just trying to build him up as a U.S. attraction, and the fans that would come and the way that he would be mixing with people. Like, I bet you could find old timers who have worked in the sport, in casinos, in all over the, all over that city, who can tell you their best Ricky Hatton stories and the kind of person he was and the way that he treated them and made them feel, both, when they interacted with him and also when they saw him fight, with so much passion and just like grit and will to win. I mean, he was a dirty ass fighter, but a great fighter, man. A great.
I mean, the referee hard to deal with. Took away his chances against Floyd in a sense, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Floyd was always very good about making sure that if he was dealing with an inside fight, I mean, he took, that's how you know that he took Maidana lightly the first time, because he didn't prime the pump as much. He was like, yeah, I'll just beat this guy. All of a sudden he's got El Chino's wild man ass all over him for 12 rounds. Next time he's like, okay, Kenny, you better break this shit up this time. And I'll do what I do. But also I give look, the thing that we remember about the Mayweather Hatton fight is the ending, the knockout. I mean, that was like one of the more impressive and comical knockouts. Beautiful check hook, and have Ricky go like face first into the stand, into the ring post, and that's the end of the fight. I mean, but
I think I had Ricky up at the midway point. Is that crazy?
I thought he was crazy. I always gave him a lot of credit for that performance, because it's very hard to, especially at that era in Floyd's career, it was really hard to push him to the point where he had to, where he had to fight you to the point that he'd knock you out. Because Floyd usually is happy to just control you, take care, like protect his hands, discipline you, make sure you know your place in the ring, and your place is not to test this man, because he's going to beat you. And
he's the test maker.
And so many fighters over the years got the message. Ricky Hatton was one of those guys who didn't, kept pushing, made it in. One of those handful of fighters, Maidana's another, who got to, who allowed Floyd or gave Floyd the platform to show us his inside brilliance, right? The fact that he could take a great inside fighter and beat them and out and land cleaner shots and protect himself and never get hit clean despite fighting in their territory too. I mean, it took special fighters to bring that out of Floyd, and Hatton was one of them.
I remember when they announced that fight, I was like, okay, I understand doing this fight. It's huge business. Floyd's coming off the De La Hoya one. Like, it makes a lot of sense. But right away, I'm like, okay, I love Ricky. I love what he did to Tim Tszyu's daddy. But Floyd's going to destroy him. There's a gap between 140 and 147, and not everybody can fill that gap. He doesn't have the game for it. Yet he so overperformed in that 24/7 and selling himself that I remember at the end of that last episode going, this is crazy, but I think he can do it. And then you sort of came back to life. But, the Tszyu fight is the win that you'll hang his hat on for, without question. He beat an aging Marco Antonio Barrera, and they had a great friendship. But I love the Castillo win again. Jose Luis Castillo, when he hit him with that body shot to knock him out. He had a resume that was like Hall of Fame borderline, but I'm happy he got in because, there was that stretch that he was super elite and certainly was a huge, huge draw. And a lot of people are saying that he had a fight schedule, like an exhibition coming up, and he was training for it.
It was a real fight. It was against some old man, but yes.
Okay. And I know that he was even doing like cameo videos wishing people birthday in like the 24 hours before his death. So I don't know, dude. I don't know if it was suicide, drug related. I don't know. And it's like, it doesn't change much on this. It's just a sad story. But as somebody had mentioned, Hank Williams mentioned, a boxing family, his brother Matt, son Campbell. We lose a legend there. A couple quick points on the way out. Brody brings up news. Tim Tszyu just announcing on social media that he is going to redo his team, get new trainers, get new everything, I think, and make another big run at it. And he still feels his best is in front of him. Now, before I get your take, the fans know me well enough. You got people like De La Cruz saying BC has a soft spot for Tim Tszyu. He thinking he's in for a title now. Tszyu is the boxing Kevin Lee version for BC. I think you can put Adrian Broner, Zab Judah, and that, like, everybody has those 9 lives fighters that you won't give up on no matter what. Tim Tszyu has somehow become that for me. Do you believe there's still life left for Tim Tszyu to be in a title picture with a new team and win one?
I don't know, man. I mean, look, he's the talent that he showed early on makes me believe, there's a chance, but also just the recent performances, the poor judgment in the ring. I'm not talking about the poor judgment in terms of, he shouldn't have kept fighting against Fundora in the first one after the cut. He shouldn't have taken a tough fight against Murtazaliev after that, and then get beat. I don't mean that. I mean, just like he seems to not, when he does the exact wrong thing when he's in trouble, right? Yes. I mean,
the instincts aren't great, but his uncle, his trainer is like his mom's brother or something. Like, that guy didn't seem like he was world-class in helping him out.
Well, I mean, you know who it has to be though.
His daddy?
The Scorpion.
Are you talking about Glenn Rushton?
You know, it got to be Glenn Rushton. I mean, who else is down there, down under?
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, what about like a Robert Garcia, just like a wild card one? Just,
that could be good too. Robert Garcia has had success in those moments when and it's true. If you look at Maidana, when he came to Robert Garcia, was it after his he just looked listless and terrible against Devin Alexander, or was that his first?
And he got shut out in that.
Yeah, fight. It looked like he was on his way out.
He almost retired.
Yeah, it felt that way after that. It seemed like the kind of fight you're just like, all right, I don't got it no more. And then he was able to, Garcia helped him find, both like the style that was going to work, the aggression, and put it all together in the right package. And he became a true fan favorite, for years, like the rest of his career, and gave great moments, right? So is it possible? Yes. I think it's unlikely, man. It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. He's probably got one shot left. We'll see. USA Today reporting that the Tank versus Jake fight is off due to weight difference. What they're really saying is that the Georgia State Commission won't sanction it because of the weight difference. I got to assume whether it's Texas or Jacksonville, Florida, or
take it to the Bass Pro Shop in Memphis, baby.
Yeah, somebody's going to come through and give it to this.
Shout out, bloke. I feel like Oklahoma might be the kind of place where we could get that going.
Miami, Oklahoma, on the streets there where they did that Friday Night Fights and Showbox card. Yeah, dude, I really hope that thing just gets canceled, but whatever on that one. Franco's here. Thank you for your support as always, Franco. My interview with Jim Gray from Radio Row was everything Franco hoped it would be. Got any extended comments on the interview? Fans seem to like it. Look, I mean, Jim Gray can be controversial. I get that, but I had an opportunity to sit down with him. He was gracious to do like 20 minutes with me, and I did the Chris Farley Show fanboy history of like, dude, tell me what you were thinking when you go in there at the Bite Fight and interview Tyson outside his locker room. Like, tell me what you're thinking when you do one of these interviews and a fighter gets pissed off by you. And I thought Jim gave really good answers. I mean, love him or hate him, and we haven't always loved every inch of his work. No. He got sent to hell for the Pete Rose thing, Chad Curtis. But I will say, shout out to Jim Gray. I enjoyed that interview a lot. So thanks everybody who checked that out. Very quickly here, Luke Nocita came in late, but he wants to know Rafe's thoughts on Gabriela Fundora fighting weekend on Golden Boy. I think it's in Indio or something like that this weekend. Are you in or no?
I mean, she's a good fighter. I don't know if I'm gonna be watching. I know she's quite tall.
Yeah.
They got some height in the event. I don't care, man.
You don't care. You don't care. Also, from Hank Williams, hilarious Salida card this Friday in Detroit at the Fox Theater. Please tell me Rafe is going. Truly a laughable card. Brandon Moore versus DeAndre Savage. Heavies in the main event. I don't know enough about these guys to laugh at it. Will you be there, or will you be at the Masonic Hall this weekend?
Just hitting up some rituals at the Masonic. Yeah, I do have to. I am due for a bloodletting. But I don't know. I forgot it was coming up. I did circle it on my calendar just because it would be fun. Fox is a beautiful venue. I'd be curious how they make it work for boxing because it sort of has that. I mean, it feels like a Radio City Hall type theater. So anyway, yeah, I might, but man, they overprice everything. We'll see.
And then finally, I got asked to call this fight card. I'm not going to be available. Friday night, Hank Williams saying it's a Luis Ortiz fight week. King Kong is back against a former middleweight as he looks to move to 35-3. How old do you believe Luis Ortiz actually is right now? This is a Friday night fight on DAZN at Caribe from Royale Resort.
Wow. Well, I mean, look, I still think he's being avoided. He's the boogeyman of the heavyweight division, like he always was, right?
I mean, could Jake Paul get him now or no? No.
I don't think he won. I wouldn't take that risk.
How about Ngannou? Jake Paul. I'm sorry. King Kong versus Ngannou. He's 46 according to the internet. What are your thoughts on that?
Probably a little older, but he might just have an old man face. Who knows?
Yeah.
I bet he still looks about the same, and I bet he could still box. Titties might be a little bit bigger, but he's still pretty. That guy will always be able to handle himself in a ring.
And the final thing I wanted to get your take on is this whole Adrian Broner business. He went on Cameron's podcast. What do we call that podcast?
It is what it is, right?
It is what it is. And was drunk as shit, was macking on the lady who does the co-host who does leads the segments, was told by Cameron to stop because her mans was there. He continued to call her beautiful and mac on him. He ejected AB from the studio, paid him out of a big bag for his time, and then continued to dunk on him as apparently AB was going up to the window looking in and called him like a junkie and was like, I only was using your ass for the humor. And then people are like, yo, you paying people for podcast appearances? What do you make of all this?
I'm not surprised that people are being paid for podcast appearances. I don't think that Cameron is trying to uphold some level of journalistic integrity. Also, it's AB. You probably got to sweeten the pot a little bit to get him to show up, unless you just are able to grab him out of wherever he's hanging out.
Is he fighting in Oklahoma soon on a regional card?
I don't know, man. The clip was funny, but who the fuck cares? The Cameron show is extremely funny. But that's all. It's good for a hilarious clip every week, whatever the fuck they're talking about. This time it happened to be AB, and he probably was being pretty truthful. The only he probably was thinking, all right, let's get this let's get this train wreck in here and see what happens. Unfortunately, sometimes it gets uncomfortable when you have someone who's that kind of, not going to sort of play by any rules or could just completely derail shit like it seemed like AB was doing. What are you going to do?
I don't see how this doesn't end, sadly. And we've been saying that for almost, a decade and a half or two now, but it's bad. The other thing I wanted to bring up, it's just hard to break down. Lance Pugmire's report from Boxing Scene that this Teofimo Lopez Shakur Stevenson fight that we all think is going to come around January could be a PBC card in which Turkey pays for it. I have no idea what.
Can you decode that for me a little bit, Brian?
I don't know. I don't know if
Teo is a top-ranked fighter, at least on paper still, right?
But it's almost as if they let Turkey promote him and they just take the fee.
Right. And Shakur Stevenson has been fighting with Matchroom.
He's a free agent technically, but he has a multi-fight deal with Turkey. So it's like, where does PBC come into this?
I
wonder if it's the New York thing, because the idea was that this would be at Barclays, and then Shakur is saying, well, I'd rather do MSG so that Teo doesn't have an advantage being that he's from Brooklyn. I don't know if this means that PBC is not going to be on Prime. And
Shakur thinks Brooklyn is going to come out for Teofimo Lopez like that?
I don't know what this means, dude. I don't know if this means that like PBC is dying and needs us. I don't know if this is, I have no freaking idea. Does this mean that one or both are going to become PBC fighters in the hope of fighting Tank? I don't know, dude, but it's weird. It's interesting. I didn't even want to bring it up today because we need more information about this, to be fair.
I don't know what to make. It doesn't make any sense. Other than the location or maybe wanting it to be in New York, it's hard to see what do they need PBC for if they aren't PBC fighter. They're both
Yo Mama's saying that the article said they're both free agents. I don't know that, but we'll get more on that when we find out. That's the show, man. We went hard today in the
we did, and I'm sorry I got to do this, Brian, but I gotta hear it from you. Because all of our waxing poetic didn't get there. But
did you shoot your load?
No, well, I was waiting for you.
Okay,
but you're a champ. You're doing what you do. But no, seriously, who wins Prime versus Prime? Bud or Floyd? 147 pounds, weight category 147.
I think Bud wins, dude. I think Bud wins, and I've always reserved.
Would you always have said that, or is that now you're willing to go there?
It's the greatness that Bud showed in the last three fights, and even though the Madrimov fight, we don't talk about it being a great performance, the way he dug in against a difficult guy at a new weight class. But the thing is, as I said in my story on CBS yesterday, this is the exact type of fighter Floyd wouldn't have fought in his prime at welterweight on purpose. And I do acknowledge that Floyd had hand issues and had to become a different fighter. But I almost think at any weight class in which they coincided, you have to take Bud. He's an inch taller. He would have a 3-inch reach advantage. He's probably, if not as fast, right close to it in terms of speed. He's going to have longer arms. And that was always the key to Floyd, having disturbingly long arms for his height. And you got somebody that can switch stances, is a dog, has that Ray Leonard type of thing where if the fight's on the line, he's going to go get it. And this is not that Floyd isn't the type of guy that can decode anyone. He is. Like, you'd want to see this fight. But there's a reason why I always said Prime Leonard beats Floyd. Prime Tommy Hearns beats Floyd. I even think Prime welterweight Oscar, the one who beat Corte, is a really hard fight for Prime Floyd. Because Oscar's hand speed was really good, and he had that left hook, and he was smart. But you got to understand there's limitations that Floyd had to some degree against the very best of the best, which is why he navigated his career the way he did. It's why he didn't fight Pacquiao in 2011, right? Let's be straight up about this.
Wasn't he retired?
No, he was. But shout out to Bud, shout out to Floyd. It's the truth. It's the truth.
That's like, so I was there, like, Bud is now one of, I would say, 3 fighters in like the colored television era of boxing, so the last 50 years, who you have to take seriously the chance of them beating Floyd. And I agree with you, Hearns, Leonard, and now Bud, it's like, I don't like you really have to, like, at this point, part of me, like, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but every time Floyd gets pushed, he shows you a dimension. Like
I know, and everybody's saying
he's
the
got
same
gears.
thing.
He's got those gears that will change things.
And the
Bud
footwork.
is not Bud throughout his career has been easier to find and hit than Floyd, but he's also a more risk-taking and aggressive and all the, so, but in any
wouldn't
case,
Floyd have to control the terms with his footwork? He would have to like almost completely control the terms of that fight.
Look, I think I probably would lean Crawford, especially because Floyd did guard his reach advantage pretty carefully. Like, he did not like to accept opponents who were in the same ballpark, let alone someone with longer arms than him.
Yes.
Because he had insanely long arms, and he knew what an advantage it was for him in the ring. But there's Floyd has an aura, this sort of unbeatable, like he's gonna find a way aura. But that's the thing. That's the last hurdle stopping me from just saying outright I favor Bud. Like, all I have left is intangibles, because it kind of looks like this is Bud's fight.
And the thing is, like, what fight has Floyd against an elite not controlled the terms, right? Like, even when Cotto pushed him down the stretch of that fight, Flo's beating that ass. And I know, that version of Cotto ain't the same as this of Bud here, but that's a great fight to debate by the fire with a cold one. Brody says Floyd is going to show up on this podcast. Yeah, he probably will. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what if Floyd just takes away all the offense that Bud is used to landing? I don't know if he takes it away that easily, though. Bud is brilliant, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it will be. It's a great fight to imagine. It is just, we're not going to see it, but man, it is a fun one to imagine. I didn't expect to see a fighter in and around that weight class who would actually make me question if they had a chance against Floyd. And
I always thought Spence would be an obstacle for Floyd in his prime, but then when you saw what Bud did to Spence, and now, by the way, I'm changing my tune. I'm wondering, maybe Bud wasn't as maybe Spence wasn't as compromised in the Bud fight as I thought. Maybe Bud's just that freaking great, dude. Holy cow. All right. Yeah. Brody's right. Floyd was great on the inside. I mean, Floyd is Floyd's a borderline top 10 fighter of all time, to be fair. To be fair.
Just that we have to be, just that it's the fact that this mythical matchup is so hard to figure out now, that shows you how great Bud Crawford has proven himself to be. Like, the fact that he's now in a handful of fighters ever that you'd be like, man, like, I think that guy, like, he might be Floyd.
And you have to, as Steven says, you have to give Floyd props. He did what he did to Canelo at a catchweight, but at age 36. So it is wild, man. I mean, Canelo saying that Bud was way better than Floyd, that's wild too.
Come on, we're not listening to that.
Come on. We don't do that.
Yeah, we're not.
All right. Thank you for the real ones who stuck with us for 2 hours and 20 minutes. We appreciate you. I don't know. Are we going to be back next week? There ain't much going on in that box, right?
Got to break down Fundora, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to do that. We'll have to get your take on women and boxing at the same time. I had to unfollow Sandy Ryan because, I mean, it's becoming a trap. It really is. You know what I mean? It's just becoming a trap.
Next stop, we're starting to charge too much for the content.
Next stop, OnlyFans for her. I mean, I think she's already there, but I can't follow her there. Okay. Thank you for everything. It was great. Peace out. Follow him at Rafe Bugs and buy his books. And here's the best outro that we got going in podcast today. Thank you.